Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to South Boston Speedway.
You see them flashing lights. We about to take flight. I'm glad y'all is present for this fabulous night. We about to take flight.
Drivers, start your engines.
It's time to turn and burn. The track is alive in 2025. It means more at South Boston Speedway. Hello, race fans. Welcome to South Boston Speedway. We are getting ready for the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200. It's a practice day at South Boston Speedway, and we are glad to bring you in for some insight and some extra fun here. I'm Kyle Haney. The broadcast team is second to none this weekend. Blake McCandless, Scott Shive will meet the fourth member of the ball club here, James Pike, in just a moment. But we're glad to be bringing it to you here on Facebook, X, and YouTube. Blake, let's start with you. The build-up, I mean, it's one of those things where it gets built up and you start feeling it more and more. Now that we're on site and really seeing the cars in action a bit, it feels real now.
Absolutely, and it's something that starts as early as today. Again, there's a couple of teams that have been out here the last day or so, even before this official practice day, to be able to try and tune these cars in to get ready for this. And again, it's what makes the Virginia Late Model Triple Crown presented by Flow Racing so special. There's only 3 races. You only get 3 opportunities to try and dial everything in, to get a good starting spot, to get those good finishes. And Scott, that's what makes this so difficult, so exciting, but yet so tough for these teams.
Well, I already got to talk to some drivers today about how important those finishes are in maximizing your opportunity at each and every race. And it starts here at the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson at 200 in the first of those 3 races. You got to know that if you want to win, you can go out and win. But if you've got to finish 5th, you might as well maximize your opportunity to maybe win the championship this year in the Virginia Triple Crown.
So much history behind the Triple Crown, behind the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200. That's another thing that I know the 3 of us and James are going to have fun with today, is diving into that history a little bit more. Because once the race gets cranked up, guys, you want to give the drivers that are out there the full spotlight. But here on this practice day, we got a chance to go off the script and banter and talk about whatever we want. There's really not a lot of rules for this little broadcast today. Now, one thing on the rules, we should start talking about that a little bit, guys, because that's an important part. I mean, so many of the typical late model rules are in place, Blake, but you have some extra things to make sure everybody's on mostly a level playing field, I guess you could say.
I think that's right. And again, it starts with kind of how the procedures and everything work in practice today. Again, they've been rotating through, giving these competitors in the Centera late models, as well as the Budweiser Limited Sportsman, all the divisions that we see out here today, trying to split things up and give these drivers an opportunity to get out there, to be able to make as many practice laps as they feel comfortable with. And again, that's something that's changed throughout the day. Scott, I know you and I talking to a lot of drivers earlier today. It has been really difficult with just how, the weather has been the last couple of days. If you want to go out early, if you want to wait until kind of this later portion in the day, and I think that's why it's really nice that these race fans are going to be able to tune in to this portion of practice, because I think this is where a lot of teams have been focusing on getting those mock qualifying runs in and kind of getting a little bit of a better feel of what they think the track is going to be able to do tomorrow.
Well, that track temp, 115 degrees, ambient temperature 88 degrees, all that provided to you by ABC 13 WSET TV. Current weather outside on this beautiful Friday afternoon, but you mentioned it about that differing weather conditions, and the track has been really hot. Drivers have been talking about how slick it has been. I got to talk to them this morning about how they go about that within the practice sessions of how much do you get to learn from the day versus the night. When we go into tonight, as the track continues to cool, as we get into later hours of the evening, how do you change your setup and adjust for that? Because we'll qualify around 4:30, 5 o'clock, and so the track will be quite hot. But as we proceed into the night, into the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200 for those 200 laps, the track will continue to cool.
Yeah, Go Halifax late model stock car qualifying will officially take place at 4:15 tomorrow. Now, of course, any race fan knows the schedule can be adjusted, but expect that at 4:15. And we do want to see all the fans here. We want to encourage you to buy your tickets tonight. Still $20 a ticket before midnight tonight. That price will go up to $25 tomorrow. And we know so many folks watching our little social media broadcast have probably already purchased their tickets, so that's great. We can't wait to see you tomorrow. Let's talk about those tires specifically. 10 tires, 4 to practice with, 6 for the race. 2 new ones will go on at the halfway mark. So that's, again, one of those rules things that I think is obviously slightly different than we normally have here at South Boston Speedway. Everybody that practiced prior to today, those were different tires. When everybody showed up this morning, they bought those 10. And the gamers, the race tires for tomorrow get locked up there. You can't do anything messing with those. So that's, again, one of those things to kind of equal the playing field, levelize things a bit. But more on the tires, guys. You know, we've been talking about the Hoosier F45 Star. I think it's passed all the tests so far. You talk to drivers. They seem to be loving it. This will be the final examination tomorrow night, though, with 200 laps. That presents a different tire wear issue.
And, again, it's a longer race. And, again, South Boston is a track that these drivers come to, and they're thinking all about speed, all about the grip that they have. And, you know, one thing in changing this tire, because, again, it was the ST2 that was ran in this race 1 year ago. And the one big difference, I would say, whether it's out here tonight or in other series that these drivers have been competing in, is the feel that this tire has that's similar to the F45s that have been kind of a mainstay in late model stock car competition leading up to this, or the several years prior leading up to this. But yet one thing drivers often talk to me about is the fire-off speed, that if you get a chance to cool them down, the old F45s, they would still kind of slip and slide around. If maybe your right rear was going, something like that, you would lose it. But you're able to gain a little bit of that grip back. They last a little bit longer than the prior F45 iteration. But again, like Kyle was saying, something that these drivers really enjoy racing on.
Well, Blake, I love what you mentioned about the tires getting time to cool down, because I think one thing we've seen here throughout the regular season at South Boston, throughout all of our regular divisions, a lot of things we've seen, especially from the late model side, is a lot of drivers overheating their tires. We've seen less problem with tire wear. We've seen more problems with tires overheating. And so when you get that opportunity to get a caution, cool them back down, and have that immediate fire-off speed, that changes the game, because it really turns this race. Even though 200 laps, there's a lot of things that we'll have to see from the 175 lap events that we've run, is how much can you abuse this tire and it still be okay.
And it will be much hotter tomorrow than we have had at any recent races here at South Boston Speedway. But great point there, Scott, because Trevor Ward, he's got 4 wins this season, and even he has said, yeah, I've been dealing with the tires overheating a little bit. Sometimes, you know, the line you choose to run, you can save some of that heat, that wear and tear there as well, guys. So all that and more will be at play tomorrow, and it's just so much fun. There's so many ins and outs and subtleties to this thing, Blake. But I'll let you go, dealer's choice here. What do we talk about next? We can't use up all of our good stuff here on practice day. But what's on your mind here at the top, Blake?
I would say just being able to see these cars and what they're able to do in these more similar conditions. Again, we talked to a lot of drivers earlier today, and the one thing that they constantly said is we don't really know what type of feel that we want right now, because if we're handling really good this early in the day when it's hot and slick and the track is sliding around, we've had a lot of rubber laid down over the last several sessions that have been going with the Centera late model stocks, the Budweiser Limited Sportsman. You could see some more divisions that are getting ready to go out and make their practice laps as well. It's been hard for these drivers to know exactly what they want out of their race car at that earlier portion of the day and what kind of handle that they want. A lot of guys that felt like they were perhaps a little bit looser earlier in the day, they feel like that's going to be fine once the track cools down and we get a little more grip. So just really curious to see towards this evening portion. This is where a lot of teams are going to lock in, and is very important time that they get to try and get dialed in.
Yeah, I think this track is going to truly tighten up throughout as we get into tomorrow. As the sun continues to set, this track will take rubber. That's another thing. How will the track take rubber? But a lot of drivers have talked about they do believe the track will tighten up as we get into the night tomorrow evening. And so a lot of them are going for a bit of a looser setup right now to try that out and say, okay, the track will tighten tighten up, and we'll be able to ring this back in. Because if you set up too tight, then as a track, if it was to tighten up, then you have no rotation through the center.
Everybody's got knowledge. Everybody has been around this. Everybody has had multiple conversations. But you just wonder with the things that we're talking about, guys, how much it benefits some of those veteran types like Peyton Sellers. He's made 13 200 starts. Bobby McCarty, 10 starts in this race. You got Brandon Pierce with 8, Deke McCaskill 7. And, oh, by the way, 3 of those 4 guys I just mentioned have won this race multiple times. Having that file that you can refer to, Blake, as far as track conditions, weather, rest of the guys and gals in the field, that's got to be a big advantage, doesn't it?
It is. And I think kind of referencing, I know a conversation I heard many years ago that I think Kevin Harvick was having with his then teammate Danica Patrick, and said, I'll always have 25 years or however many years it was of racing experience over you. And even at this level, that experience is so valuable, being able to build up a notebook on this racetrack, whether it's individual cars, some of which are relatively new, some of which these drivers, like you mentioned, several that compete here on a weekly basis, they have a very deep notebook. They know exactly what to expect, but we see so many ranges and experience. And again, I think the one thing we have to mention about this race, Scott, is the fact that the stakes for this race are higher than they've ever been. We're paying out $20,000 to the Virginia Late Model Triple Crown presented by Flow Racing winner. And not only that, they get a guaranteed spot in the Valley Star Credit Union 300 at Martinsville Speedway in a couple of months if they're able to win this race. That's huge because that race is so difficult to make with the amount of cars you have, the heats. We know they can be chaotic. So the stakes to win this race are so much higher than they've ever been before.
The goal, get to Martinsville, best position possible. And with this year, it's different than ever because you could come out of tomorrow night and you are locked in to the Valley Star Credit Union 300. And again, that's never been done before. We've never had that rule in place. And same thing when these drivers will go to Langley on July 19th. You can lock in from the Hampton Heat. And so that bodes that importance that, I talked to some drivers this morning, and I was talking to them about how you balance, hey, if I'm a 5th place car, I obviously want to maximize the day, but what if I have a chance to win and lock in? When let's say we're 25 laps, go under 20 laps to go. How do you manage that? What do you decide? Because can you think in a rational state to make that decision in the smartest way possible?
Well, I'm glad you went there, Blake, because I might have buried the lead a little bit because we all know cash is king. I mean,
yes.
money talks. and yeah, Flow Racing has really stepped in and added just an incredible bonus, $50,000 overall to the purse. And then, like you said, $20,000 to the winner of the Virginia Triple Crown. $10,000 tomorrow to the winner.
Yeah, I was
of this
about to
race.
say $10,000. That's
not exactly chump change, huh?
Yeah, no, exactly not. There's a lot on the line for this specific race in terms of purse as well. But yes, just a wonderful day for these drivers. And again, these races only come around so often. A lot of these drivers, they're used to racing in big races, but it's still a surprise when these drivers get the opportunity to do it.
It's really awesome to get to see everyone come out. I mean, we said that this environment is different, and it truly is. You get to see all these late models, all these drivers from the division show up. And that's the thing. This isn't just the 200 for the late model guys. This is it for all of our local divisions here at South Boston Speedway, and the Budweiser Limited Sportsman, the Southside Disposal Pure Stocks, and the Dollar General Hornets. This is their big weekend, too.
It's a massive day for everybody. It's a massive day for the 4th member of our broadcast team. We'll send it downstairs to James Pike. Piker, what you got for us? Are you locked in already?
I am warm, Kyle, is what I am. But hello to you and to Blake and to Scott, and hello to all of you watching, whether or not you're on South Boston's Facebook or YouTube or X page. We're streaming to all 3. So plenty of storylines we can talk about going into this, the 19th edition of the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200. But we're going to start with a fun one like we did last year, like we've done for the past years. There is a special event t-shirt that if you come to the track tomorrow, you can get. This is the black version that I have on now. It's got the event logo here right on the left side of the front, and There's this gigantic print on the back, courtesy of Harris Lou Creative, one of the most talented graphic designers in all of racing. So you can pick this up for $30, and you can find it at the souvenir stand here at South Boston Speedway. But you'll want to come get it, and you'll want to come get it fast because there are not a lot of these. They sold out very quickly 1 year ago. I imagine it's going to be the same sort of story here. If you happen to be here for practice, you can walk around to the front and get one, but you'll definitely want to pick one of these up for $30 and commemorate your time here at South Boston for the first leg of the 2025 Virginia Triple Crown.
Fantastic start there, James Pike. Thank you so much. And the T-shirt looks fabulous on him, doesn't it, guys? I mean, James makes everything look good, but it's a nice fit down there.
It is. It's a cool T-shirt, and again, there's a lot of initiatives that South Boston is doing for this race, as well as what Larry King Law's Langley Speedway has invested into this Triple Crown, and of course Martinsville coming up. It's really cool to see all the stops that are being pulled to try to make this really special.
Yeah, I got my shirt already. I went down straight up this morning, went ahead
Just
and got it.
A little bit of a humble brag.
Well, look, y'all. People have said they go quick. And I was like, I got to get one. I got to have mine. And it's in the bag, and we're good to go.
We're going to be good to go with, it looks like, some Hornets and Pure Stock practice, I believe. I may have misspoke there, though. And, again, this is a sort of a fly-by-the-seat-of-your-pants situation. We're going to be on till about 7 or 7:15 or so. We'll be back to James in a bit. He'll have some good interviews for us. The three of us might stroll downstairs at some point and banter with some drivers and teams. But, yeah, it is really going to be a fantastic weekend. We hope to see you here, fans. And if all you can do is watch, that's cool, too, because we're going to bring you all the action on Flow Racing. The race never ends. It's going to be an incredible Virginia Triple Crown season. This Triple Crown, guys, when you look at the history of this, and there's been some great stuff put out on social media this week, I encourage everybody that's watching us right now, make sure you're following along with the NASCAR regional social stops. Make sure you're following South Boston Speedway on the social stops. Make sure you're following Flow Racing. And we are following James Pike. It looks like he's ready for his first interview. Our female driver in the field this week, Jessica Can.
I do have Jessica Can here with me. Jessica making another start at Virginia Triple Crown, but one of your first starts, I see a new car here, so a bit of a different story, a bit of a different setup this go-around. What's changed with this team?
You know, we're trying a bunch of different stuff. We've got Stacey Purrier helping me today, and, you know, we've just kind of been going through. We've run here all season at South Boston, and just haven't really been able to figure out the right kind of things of what the car needs and struggling a little bit. So we're trying a lot of different things today, and hopefully going to pick up some speed for the weekend.
I see you've got something black acid apparel, I think, and so I'll let you show this off here to all the folks watching at home.
Yeah, absolutely. Got about 200 T-shirts to give away. I've got a bunch of tumblers and stuff. Really excited. This is always the biggest event, you know, here at South Boston. We always get a great crowd, so I'm really excited to see everybody tomorrow and be a part of the meet and greet and, you know, see all the fans and stuff. This is one of, you know, the biggest late model races of the year. We've got a great car count here and just happy to be a part of it.
So what you're telling me is that you're going to have a few more giveaway things, I think, for folks who are coming to the Fan Fest and maybe walking through the stands than most. So if you like free, that's maybe Jessica Can's your person?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we did these event T-shirts. This is nice, bright color. Be something really good to get a lot of the different drivers to autograph. A good memento. I've seen that idea over the past couple of years, so I'm really excited to have kind of our own version and really thankful to Thunder Road Harley-Davidson for putting on the event as well.
Big supporters of Jessica Can, cast at Thunder Road Harley-Davidson. She is going to have a lot of freebies and looks to have a good run tomorrow in the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200.
That she is, James Pike. And again, a little bit of a downtime or a break or so. Again, these teams have been practicing for a number of hours, so this wasn't the start of the day for a number of these teams. But wanted to acknowledge a few things I saw out there on our Facebook chat. The first being Joshua, who was asking about the whereabouts of Landon Huffman. I did talk to Landon a little bit earlier today, but there is only one car in the Carroll Speed Shop team that is out and going to be practicing later today because Landon Huffman, he made a run earlier today, and he's going to have to leave here. He's going to be racing at Tri-County tonight. Thomas Bean is also racing at Tri-County tonight, but I got to catch up with Landon just after his father, again, Robert Huffman, was able to turn some laps. Again, the old Goodies Dash Series champion, multi-time champion, was looking forward to getting back in a race car. As you can see Brandon Pierce right there. There's only one tent there for the Carroll Speed Shop. And Landon was telling me, Dad just got out of the car. He ran an 18.0. He ran a 17.3. He ran a 16.8. And then he couldn't hear anything. So he pulled in because the earbuds had fallen out of his ears. So he couldn't hear his spot or anything like that. But Robert Huffman shaking down the car that Landon Huffman is going to drive into Tri-County tonight. He'll have to start in the back tonight and then make his way all the way back up here to South Boston before that race starts.
Hey, that's continual improvement. That's an improvement margin if you've ever seen one. Brandon Pierce coming out for his first laps. Practice is still hot and sunny here at the racetrack right now. And so, again, I think we'll see a lot of what we saw this afternoon, a bit of slipping and sliding. The yaws and the rear to the front will be out. You can see a little slip off of turn 4 for the number 2 machine.
Brandon Pierce is a big-time local favorite. This will be start number 9 in the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200 for Brandon Pierce. He's made 101 Cars Tour starts now, Blake, and that's kind of your area of expertise. I know he hasn't won as much as he has wanted to. Obviously, everybody would like to win every race, but I just think you got to admire a guy like Brandon Pierce. He's kind of in that grinder mode. And when the circumstances are right, he can win a race, and I'm thinking about tomorrow specifically.
Well, and he's brought the speed recently in the Cars Tour to be able to do that. At Langley Speedway, he was set up for a top 5 there. At Dominion, he was running well. Again, it's just been a couple of circumstances that haven't worked out in his favor. I was talking with him about that earlier today, and he said, you know, we just want to have a finish that we deserve. We feel like we've been running up front. We feel like we've been improving. Obviously, Carroll Speed Shop has done a tremendous job improving that program with both of their drivers in that series between himself and Landon Huffman, who currently is running near the top 5 in points in that series. So, yes, he just kind of wants to get the monkey off the back. It can be difficult to do for some of these teams, but Pierce looking to do just that.
Best finished of 4th in 2018. He finished 14th last year, so he had a decent run last year about midway through the field. But like y'all said, he's always, I think I say this about a lot of drivers, they're always looking for more when they're not in victory lane. And so he's one of those drivers that making that 9th start here in the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson, and he's got that monkey on his back he wants to get off.
Well, and one big thing worth mentioning, maybe a monkey on the back, but on the hood, he also has Thunder Road Harley-Davidson.
Yes,
so
good
point.
This would be a massive one for him, and he's said that multiple times. And again, it's another one. There's a couple great interviews with Brandon Pierce on the SouthBostonSpeedway.com. Joe Chandler doing a wonderful job catching up with some drivers this week. Ryan Millington was in there. Believe we had a little piece on Tate Fogelman, who you said checked in. He was watching the broadcast down there during practice, right? He may still be on there.
Yeah, I saw that he tuned in Facebook. And, again, he was the fastest car earlier today in practice, so obviously trying to learn everything he can. And he brought a really fast piece. He's been really running well with that program at North Wilkesboro Speedway. The Cars Tour a couple weeks ago brought another quick piece to Orange County. And I remember catching up with him, and he said, you know, he loves these higher grip racetracks where there's a lot of speed. And it seems like this is a racetrack that is really suited to his driving style. And again, you're going to see a lot of these teams. You see Connor Jones backing up to go make a run, Carson Lofton. This is around the time that these drivers and teams are going to be qualifying tomorrow. So I imagine you're going to see a lot of mock runs. We saw one out of Brandon Pierce, ran a 1540. And imagine you're going to see a lot of this kind of 2 or 3 lap runs to try to make those mock qualifying runs. Because, again, guys, we're going to start 40 cars tomorrow. So you got to get that good starting spot. I know you have 200 laps to try and make it up, but we know the state of late model stock car racing right now so competitive. So even just these couple of laps, you could see a lot of smoke out of the right front of Carson Lofton's number 22. He's going to abandon that lap, actually.
Lofton going to abandon that lap. He's going to stay out on track at the moment. Connor Jones coming through in turn number 3, and Lofton will bring it back into pit road. So Connor Jones now the only car out there making lap time. Lofton, that last time across, he didn't come across. Jones he ties almost exactly with Pierce, at least to the 100th mark of 15.41, but just behind Pierce by a couple of thousandths. Jessica Can also out there in her number 19 Black Acid Racing late model.
Well, we've talked about some of those veterans, and since Carson Lofton came up, let's talk about the rookies. I believe we've got a dozen drivers that are going to make their debut in this race, and another, it looks like 6 of those drivers will be making their Triple Crown debut, guys. Typically with the young drivers, a lot of confidence, a lot of energy, no fear attitude. I think when you get gridded up and you're rolling around for the parade laps before the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200, I think those rookies might start feeling some pressure then, if not before then. What do you think?
Well, again, it's amazing when you watch so many of these drivers, and again, many of them are younger than they were several years ago, but they have so much racing experience coming into events like this, and whether they've been in a late model stock car that long or not, it doesn't seem to deter them. I will say, though, there is a big difference between going to some of these bigger races, but this is a 200-lap race. It's long. For some of these drivers, this is their first type of exposure to a race that is this long, that is this difficult, because you can find the speed, but it's mental. It's working on the car throughout the race with each of the stages in this race. It's something that, again, is part of the maturation process for a lot of these drivers.
Well, and Lofton, one of those rookies, you got to imagine he's got a little bit of pressure on himself. You got to matter what pressure, because that car won this race 1 year ago with Connor Hall, and so you know that car can get it done with the Nelson Motorsports crew. And you also got to say he's had a little bit of a tough year in the late models. He obviously great in the Smart Mod Tour last year, 5-time winner, but he's been slowly picking up this late model. And
King of the modifieds right here.
Yes, so he's had some good finishes, but I think he's just still looking for a little bit more in terms of learning how this car drives different to the modified.
Yeah, Carson Lofton has 5 modified starts at South Boston Speedway. He'll be able to draw on that file, different car, different characteristics, but it is something. It's something to build off of for a guy like Carson Lofton. Getting a look there at Camden Gully in the 01. He's a guy that used to run full-time here at South Boston Speedway. The rookie class in 2021 at Sobo was pretty incredible. Guys like Camden Gully, Jacob Borst, Carter Langley was in that group, and you had Landon Pembleton in that group as well. We're going to see Landon Pembleton a little bit later on. But the talent, it just seems to be never ending. And the young talent, again, it's kind of been our theme here for the last 5 minutes or so. The young talent. Blake, pick another younger driver that maybe has your eye. I know that's not easy because there's a bunch to choose from.
There's a lot of them. I know I got to catch up with Riley Music a little bit earlier today, and again, he's one of those drivers you're thinking about. It's kind of his first real venture into late model stock car racing this year, and he's gotten acclimated to it very quickly. He's run a couple of Cars Tour races this year. And again, somebody who, again, is kind of making that jump up from Bandoleros into these full-bodied stock cars and has taken well to it. Seemed pretty confident about what he had in his number 47 a little bit earlier this morning. But again, I think, like you mentioned, there's about a dozen drivers or so that are kind of in that ballpark of not having a ton of experience around this racetrack, as it looks like that'll wrap up at least that portion of Centera late model stock car practice, and that first lap that Brandon Pierce put out looks to be the fastest of the bunch.
It was the fastest. You know, if we're talking about rookies, I really wanted to hit for a second just on that in just a moment. In terms of it, Landon McKenzie making his first ever start, and he's the 2024 INEX Semi-Pro champion. And so I think there's a lot of rookies that are really getting the hang of it, but I think we're going to be really interested in seeing them. But we're up to Southside Disposal Pure Stocks practice.
Oh, it's always a fun division here. These guys and gals put on a show. That's BJ Reeves you're looking at on your screen right now. He has been fairly dominant this year. Blake, BJ Reeves has 3 wins and 3 runner-ups. So he's really had a year to remember. I think that equals out to 1.5 is the average finishing position there for BJ Reeves. We're excited to have Johnny Lane back racing with us this weekend. Johnny Lane, one of the all-time best in this division. And it's a fun group here, Blake. And I know you haven't seen this division as much, but you're a racing fan. You can really appreciate these cars and what these drivers do with them.
Oh, no doubt. And you can even see as these cars, as they get down in the corner and having to get back on throttle, how much they're having to wheel these things to try to get the nose to stick. And again, they don't have, all the components in the suspension and the bodies and everything like the late model stock cars that we saw just get off the track to be able to, make the corner at quite as well. So these divisions, again, they challenge these drivers in a big way. And at least looking at the stopwatch, you talked about Reeves and his consistent start to 2025 and the runs that he's had this year. Well, I would venture to say that with the way he's clocking on the stopwatch, that may continue tomorrow night.
And I'm excited to see how Johnny Lane stacks up to that, because he has not been here all season, but Johnny Lane is a veteran here in the pure stocks, and last year he finished 6th in the points, but he was only 6th because he came into that race fighting for the championship, but actually left to go to his daughter's softball game instead. He chose that over racing, which I would say a lot of people have to have great respect for in choosing family over your racing prowess. But we talked about BJ Reeves and how dominant he has been this year. But there's the other brother that we have yet to talk about, that we were talking about a lot at the beginning of this season, Kyle, that has had some recent troubles.
Yeah, Zach Reeves, he is the brother of BJ Reeves. He won our first 4 poles in this division and actually had a crash, wrecked it, winning one of those poles. So that tells you he was driving the heck out of it right there. But really, since that, Scott, it has been a struggle for Zach Reeves. It really has been. And he was involved in an incident before that they had to do some major repairs on the car, if you remember. But it's been a lot of fun. Dylan Davis is a winner in this pure stock division this year as well. The Southside Disposal pure stocks. I want to go back to Johnny Lane for just a second. He won 5 of the 7 starts he made last year. So obviously not taking a backseat to anybody. Johnny Lane has 30 career victories here in the Southside Disposal Pure Stock Division. And a fun note, Southside Disposal is going to give our Stage 3 leader in the late model 200 tomorrow $250 extra bucks. We didn't even talk about the stages yet for the late models. And we can, again, we got no rules for this thing, so we can keep talking about pure stocks, or we can talk about the breakdown for the stages there in our big late model race tomorrow night.
You've teed it up. Let's knock it out of the park.
Sure. So let's talk about the strategy that it presents. It is a 200-lap race, Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200. Normally, caution laps don't count here at South Boston Speedway. Well, tomorrow they do until we get down to 10 to go. So that's noteworthy as well. But we'll have stage breaks at 50 laps, the halfway break at 100 laps, and then another stage break with 50 to go, the 150-lap mark, Blake. We always see some interesting strategy, and I'll point out you can make some adjustments at that halfway break.
Yeah, again, they'll have 10 minutes to be able to pause, bring the cars down pit road in single file line. Nobody has to worry about losing spots or anything like that. We're not doing live pit stops or anything like that, but that's the team's chance to assess 100 laps of where their car is and the type of adjustments that they want to make for the final 100-lap sprint that will happen then to the finish. So allows these teams to really get a good handle on their car, because, again, there's so many twists and turns that will be thrown their way, perhaps repair some damage at that point if we get to that point of the night. But, yeah, that's a big opportunity for these drivers and teams to really dial in and try to, build a winning race car, take a good race car, and make it a winning race car by the end of the night.
Mason Bailey mentioned to me this morning about that, the importance of that halfway break and being able to make adjustments, because by that point, again, the sun will still be setting, but the track will have definitely changed in those first 100 laps. So that 10-minute period is going to be really important for the back half of the race, because, again, that back half is the most important. You don't have to lead any laps until the last one, and so it's going to be important to continue to follow the track as it changes throughout the night, and it's going to be a critical period for that.
And again, I think you mentioned when we were talking about rookies and experience, that's where that big separation is between drivers that have a deep notebook, that have a deep understanding of this racetrack, and those that are somewhat newer. Is when that 100-lap break shows up, these teams and these drivers that have that experience that are dialed in, that's where they create that separation.
Approved adjustments during that halfway break include 2 fresh tires. I think the expectation is that they'll go on the right side, but that is not a rule there. You can put Packers in or out. You can add some spring rubber or take it out. You can make track bar adjustments, cross adjustments, no lead weight adjustments. So you can't change anything with the weight, and then you can fix damage if it's approved by the competition director. And that would be the same way if someone were to pit during the race, guys. You can make changes there, have to be approved. And there's some other rules that we'll run down. They are going to take fuel at that halfway break as well, because that's a long race to run, and sometimes you do run the risk of running out of fuel, but they'll gas up at that halfway stage. Now, stage 1 and stage 3 breaks, no adjustments there unless you go into the pit and risk losing some ground and doing them that way. But we are seeing more of the Southside Disposal Pure Stocks, and that is the guy we were talking about, Johnny Lane, in the number 9. Sold one of his cars to Jarrett Johnson, who was doing some practicing earlier, did that in the offseason, and then this was his main ride. He only had one at that point, and this one blew up on him preseason, so this will be his debut. We are all excited to have Johnny Lane back in the mix, Scott. This Pure Stock division, man, they really have been putting on some great shows for us all year long. And I'll say this to set you up. A lot of times in these big races, and this is the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200, by the way, but we talk about the support divisions. That's the term that you hear about in racing, the support divisions. I'm not sure that's accurate for what our Hornets, Pure Stocks, and Limited Sportsmen bring. I mean, they take the spotlight in their own right.
To quote you, I believe all of our other divisions are second to none.
Second to none.
And take a back seat to nobody. And so, but I would fully say that, because I think, like I've said this season, every race we have had has always been so good, whether it be the late models, whether it be the Limited Sportsmen, whether it be the Hornets or the Pure Stocks. We always have excellent competition all throughout the field, whether there's fighting at the front, fighting in the mid-pack, and fighting at the back. They are always out there and racing hard.
And it's one of those, if you're watching and you ever think about getting into racing, think about jumping in to a Hornet or a Pure Stock here at South Boston Speedway, because you'll have a lot of fun, and the cost is not as high as maybe something like a Limited Sportsman or a late model car. We are going to see more of those late model cars here. It is the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200. Call this our pregame show here a day early. The Flow Racing broadcast will begin at 4 p.m. tomorrow, fans, so we hope you'll make your plans to join us either online or in person here at South Boston Speedway. More details can be found, of course, at southbostonspeedway.com. We're all taking a look at the number 88, Doug Barnes getting after it. And we've got James Pike, who's ready for us downstairs again. Go ahead, James.
Well, 2 things, booth team, not just Kyle, Scott, and Blake. I want to make sure everybody gets their fair credit and due here on this Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200 Friday. One, I forgot to mention in my initial hit that not only do we have the event shirt, but I think new for this year, Brandon Brown will probably correct me after the show and give me all sorts of reprimands for missing it, but we've got an event hat as well that's got the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200 logo. There's a sort of a lower profile hat. That's the model I have on here, and then if you like that sort of standard high crown, there's also another Richardson model. This hat with this logo that you can find, and that is also available with the shirts as well. So if you want to pick up more merch, that too also available here at track, only at track. Come get it while it's here. It will go fast. Same story as the shirts. I think in every respect, and the hats look just as great. Now, we're back here by the tech shed. We're looking at the pre-tech line. There is a whole host of great people behind the scenes at South Boston Speedway who help make sure that everything runs smoothly and fairly from an operations standpoint. And this is part of everything here. You can get a good look at what these drivers have to go through to get their cars measured, make sure they hit specific ride heights and all sorts of other things that the officials check. And this is all before we get ready for Go Halifax pole qualifying tomorrow afternoon, 4 p.m. So of work that is being done here, and it's just as busy, I'd say, back here as it is pit road. This line extends pretty deep just beyond the tire shed too, so a lot of work being done here by officials and by teams to get ready for tomorrow's Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200.
Thank you, James. As we saw a number of drivers that have taken to the racetrack, again, plenty more than what we saw in the session just about 10 or 15 minutes ago. We saw Connor Hall make a lap, albeit, and again, this is one of those things that drivers, it makes late model stock car practice so difficult to try to look purely at the stopwatch. Again, right now, I mean, one thing is the stopwatch doesn't lie. Right now, it is Brandon Pierce who has that fastest lap that he laid down a little bit earlier. But even, you know, in reference to Connor Hall's lap time, how about Connor Hall? He got held up a little bit there by Ronnie Bassett Jr. They just come out at the same time. They hold each other up a little bit, and that's going to affect the stopwatch. But that doesn't, you know, that doesn't tell the whole story. You could talk to him a little bit later, and he's going to say, hey, we have a great race car. We got held up when we made a Mach Q run. So one driver that did not get held up, though, Parker Eatman, to the top of the charts for Hettinger Racing.
Parker Eatman making his second ever start here in the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200, but this year in a new car with that Hettinger Racing 71. He's been racing that car for a little over a month now. That deal got done just a few months ago. He was racing his own car, the number 4 Southern Bank, in the Cars Tour and when he was running it around, but it looks like he's found his way with that 71 crew.
Parker Eatman has some experience here at South Boston Speedway, ran 8 races with us in 2022. Top 10 5 times, just one top 5 in there, but obviously this is a skilled driver, and the combination there with Hettinger Racing, that's really going to be something to watch and see how that happens and works moving forward. I've got some great numbers for you as far as pole position. Scott knows where I'm going with this. And again, this is just practice. This is just practice, but we're talking about qualifying a lot and talking about the importance of qualifying. Pole sitters have won this race 5 times. We will have the 19th edition of the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200 tomorrow. So 5 of 18. Pretty good percentage there, guys. The pole sitter has been runner-up 4 times. And then here's a key number as well. The average finish for the pole sitter in this race is 6.11. So qualifying is not everything, of course, but it sure does matter in a race like this to be able to put, say, 39 cars behind you at the start. That's really big.
It's huge, especially with how this track has evolved over the years, and it just is so important to try and start up front. You mentioned all the different winners and cars that have started up front, and maybe they haven't won the race, but again, you're looking for that best average finish over the course of this race, the Hampton Heat, and the Valley Star Credit Union 300, and every single spot matters when it comes to that. So just being able to start up front, again, it makes your night so much easier that you may not have a winning race car, but you have a chance to win. You have a chance to run top 5. And again, that's why all these drivers just zero in on how important qualifying is.
And somebody might be thinking right now, I'll say what they might be thinking, well, Connor Hall started 23rd last year and he won this race. So back to what I was saying, Scott, qualifying, not everything. It is possible to work your way through the field, and when you've got that kind of skill like Connor Hall does, that becomes more possible for a guy like that. But as typical with most racing, really nice to start up front.
Yeah, it doesn't make it easier to start in the back at all, but it is definitely able to be done. We've also got our Hornets. They've been running out here a little bit. Chris Pinnock and Landon Milam. And Landon Milam, I mean, he has been killing it in the last couple of races. He has won 3 out of his last 4 races in the Dollar General Hornets division. He's currently 2nd in the overall standings, and he's minus 11 to Jason DiCarlo, who has never finished outside of the top 2 in his 6 starts of the season. But DiCarlo has not gone out to practice yet. But again, this is a day fly by the seat of your pants. Who's all going out and doing what? See, caution's back out, and there Chris Pinnock goes around. And so that's why the caution is drawn here in the Dollar General Hornets division practice.
Harmless spin, though.
Oh, yeah.
Car's fine.
Oh, yeah. We've had many of those. Or met any of all around. It's definitely a skill to be able to keep the car off the wall when you go into a spin, especially at a place as tight as here, because when you get onto the straightaway, it is less than 40 feet wide.
Yeah, let's talk about the characteristics of the track a little bit, just since we're on that. It is 0.4 of a mile. This is our 68th season of racing here at South Boston Speedway. It was a quarter-mile dirt track in the old days, and it got expanded to the 0.4 of a mile configuration in 1994. The most recent resurface was 2017. I know we'll touch on that. Still high grip, and very smooth, despite almost being a decade since we had that resurface. 12 degrees banking in the turns, Blake, and it's progressive. The higher you go, the more you get. We measured this earlier this year. We went out there, and you've got banking in the straightaways, too, at 10 degrees, and it's one that, as Scott just mentioned, very tight. There is racing room. We'll talk about 2.5 grooves a lot. We'll talk about 3 grooves sometimes. There is room to race, but basically 45 feet wide all the way around, and you're turning a lot. Relatively short straightaways as you get a look at a very hot Brandon Pearson team there, just having fun today. But the characteristics of the racetrack, Blake, and you go to so many different places. Talk about just what you observe from the racetrack itself and the kind of racing that it gives you.
Well, when you talk about South Boston Speedway, I think you get a great look at it, as Cade Brown comes off of turn number 4. You can look and see at all the rubber that's been laid down, and that's beneath the apron where that line started, probably a little more yellow at the beginning of the day that separates the apron from the racing surface, but they use every bit of that here at South Boston. You can see all the way up to the second groove on the outside of turns 3 and 4. It allows these drivers the opportunity to move wherever they want to. Cade Brown electing to run the bottom right now, and again, we'll see probably a majority of this in qualifying later, but again, when we move to the race and this track gains grip, these drivers say that gives that outside line a little bit more speed, as Cade Brown is going to lay down a time that'll put him near the top 5 or so, just back in 6th behind Ronnie Bassett Jr. But we know RNS race cars here at South Boston Speedway. Doesn't matter if it's Cade Brown, Landon Pimbleton, Blake Stallings. They are always very, very fast here.
They are those to be contended with. Cade Brown getting loose on that last lap and abandoning the rest of the mock run, but like you said, going up into the top 5 just about on that last lap by Mason Bailey. He's out here in the 05, and he's looking pretty decent and looking for a little bit faster, trying to break up into the top 10. And like you said, our earlier fastest in practice man on the charts, Tate Fogelman, well, he's going to bump himself up into the top 5 with a 15.52.
That was on lap 1. I'm really curious to see here what he does in lap 2. Again, he was tuned into our Facebook stream early, and he's close. Couple hundredths off of that time from Parker Eatman.
That's a lot of fun right there. Tate Fogelman is a fun guy, and one of those racing families. I think so many of our South Boston fans remember Jay Fogelman setting this place and many others on fire. We'll say back in the day. I like to say back in the day, guys, because then it doesn't date people too much. But we will have to give some official dates here and there. Tate Fogelman, P11 last year in his Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200 debut. It kind of surprises me he took that long to make that debut, but obviously he races at some other tracks as well. Here's one for the fun fact file. Craig Moore won the South Boston season opener last year in Tate Fogelman's car. So we know Tate Fogelman has great equipment. He's got the skills as well. A look there at that 05 of Mason Bailey. This will be start number 4 for Mason Bailey. His best is 6th a couple years ago back in 2023.
I like that you mentioned Craig Moore and that he drove that car and won it in the opening race of 2024, because here's the thing. He has had a great season up to this point in that number 1 machine. Just a couple of races ago, let's see, he's got two third place finishes this season, one in that second opening race of this season, and then in our race 3 races ago. And so that car that he built exactly like Tate Fogelman's, that probably ought to give you a good idea of how Tate Fogelman might run. And I think he's proving that today.
I agree, and Craig Moore will be working behind the scenes this weekend, most notably for Lane Woods in the Budweiser Limited Sportsman Division. But Craig Moore is a guy that, with his knowledge, I'm sure some of our late model teams will employ his insights and his opinion from time to time here this weekend. So best of luck to Craig Moore and all of his connections. We're seeing a few more drivers step out there and put down some times. That's 75. That's not Darren Krantz Jr., is it? That's a different 75.
That should be Corey
isn't it,
Dunn.
guys? That's Corey Dunn. Thank
Yes,
you so much.
who has not raced in quite a while. He was running in the top 3 in the standings earlier this season, and then he just kind of blipped off of the map, and we have not quite seen him in a hot minute, but he was running really well at the earlier end of the season. He had a second-place finish and 2 fourth-place finishes, but after that 4th race, we have not seen him since.
Yeah, I like Corey Dunn. He's a 2-time limited sportsman champ at Pulaski or Motor Mile, whichever name you prefer to use. And he was a Rookie of the Year there one time as well. So he's a guy that understands racing. He says he's got an older Hedgecock chassis in that 75, but still seems to be working very well. Excited to get Craig Moore back. And you touched on this a little bit. I think both of you guys did, actually. For those other 3 divisions, this is a marquee event for them as well. We will see additional participation in all 3 of those divisions. I mean, we're thinking we might get 25, 26 limited sportsman machines out there tomorrow. It's nice to come out in front of that big crowd and put on a show and be part of the spectacle.
Absolutely. And again, I was talking to the general manager here, Brandon Brown, a little bit earlier today, and there's just something about the stands being full, the fact that you can look down the backstretch tomorrow and there's going to be trackside parking full of campers all around this racetrack. It is going to be a lot of fun for these drivers as we see, again, kind of a mix of some of the Budweiser Limited Sportsmen as well as the Centura Virginia Triple Crown Late Model Stocks out. Jonathan Schaefer for Hedinger Racing's on the racetrack, but let's toss it down to James Pike, who has Ryan Millington standing by.
I do have the driver for Seville Millington Motorsports. And Ryan, you looked at me just before we got on here and you said, we're fast. We're really fast. So is this a case of you're just leaving it on the shelf and not necessarily worried about anything immediately? Are you going to go out a little bit later, or are you guys done for the day and just keeping it safe?
No, honestly, we've kind of got our homework done already. We came up quite a few times the past couple weeks since we've sat out the Cars Tour races and just really tried to come up here and prepare for this show. So all our homework's kind of done right now. I'm ready to mock up tomorrow and run these 200 laps. So I think we got as good of a car as I've ever had here. We've shown a lot of speed all day and just really, really happy so far. So just going to keep working a little bit tomorrow, look for a tick bit more, mock up, and see what we don't have.
On practice shows, we get to have a little bit of fun, a little bit more fun since this is a looser show. We've got plenty of time to work with. So I noticed here that, to my knowledge, these factory canopies tents are new for you and your team. So how'd you come about these, and what's the story behind them?
Ain't much of a story. We've had them for a couple races, just don't bring them out much. You know, me, Dad, and Brandon's 3 of us, so the less we have to bring out and pack back up at the end of the day, the easier. So we don't usually bring them out, but boy, it's awfully nice.
It is warm, no doubt about it, but is that sort of the mentality, I guess, and maybe reflective of the mentality going into tomorrow night where you guys have sort of shifted your focus away from touring racing and more on a race like this, and given the speed you had, pole sitter in the Cars Tour here last year, is this really just sort of been the target for a few weeks now?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of fell off a little bit on the tour, so we weren't completely ready to go to Langley, so we decided to sit out Langley and Dominion and focus on doing this, and we've done a good bit of testing, and I really feel like we found something that we've lacked a little bit at the beginning of this season, so I'm going to put the homework to work tomorrow and see what we haven't learned.
If he can find the form that he had end of August, beginning of September last year when he won at Florence and then was pole sitter here, Ryan Millington is a driver that you are going to want to keep your eyes on is tomorrow night's Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200.
That is a driver that is determined. Ryan Millington, having sat out the last 2 Cars Tour races to prepare for this race. He finished in 16th in 2019 in his only start here in the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200. But like you heard from James Pike, sat on pole last year in the 2024 Cars Tour race. So he's known his way here around South Boston.
And again, I think he kind of echoes the mentality of a lot of these teams right now. Again, we have 40 cars that are going to start this race tomorrow. And look at the scoring pylon with some of the Budweiser Limited Sportsman cars mixed in. We've only seen about 18 of these cars come out and make a time. And again, they have had a lot of time, whether some of them came out and tested just yesterday. Not every single team did, but there were a few that were here over the course of the last several days on this property. But that's where I think, again, that experience, having a driver who's been here a number of times, you kind of know what you have at this point in time. So maybe you go out, you make a mock Q run if you want to, but otherwise I think there are a lot of drivers that, you know, they do feel good about the spot that they're in for the race tomorrow.
Ryan Millington led the first 100 laps of that race here at South Boston Speedway last fall in the Cars Tour. Definitely a different vibe here with the weather, but that tells you Ryan Millington knows what it takes. Another fun fact about him and a reason why he might be a serious contender tomorrow, nobody led more laps in 2024 on the Cars Tour than Ryan Millington. I mean, look, everybody wants to win races, win championships, right? But you lead the most laps on a tour like that. That tells you a lot, doesn't it?
It really does. And Ryan Millington, one of those drivers out there, like we said, determined. You know, it's him and his dad. It is a small-time team, and they go out there and do what a lot of big-time teams, they even out with them. And so it's really impressive what they get to do.
Sounds like James is ready with another driver. It's a fan favorite, a local hero. James Pike, all systems go down there, man.
Yeah, this is a driver who I think has maybe, 2 or 3 home tracks, I think is sort of the joke here. But this is a place that I know you love a lot, Brandon Pierce, because of the experience that you have here. So going into this year and this Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200, is there anything that stands out that's particularly different?
Not really, man. You know, somebody asked me earlier, you know, which one this was for me, what number, and this is my 9th. It'd be my 10th if we didn't have COVID here. So I've always looked forward to this race. I've came to this race as a kid when my family was sponsoring it before I ever started driving. So this race, even before I was started racing, has always been a crown jewel to me as even just a race fan. So there's 40 cars here for a reason. You know, in every year I feel like the competition gets that much more stiffer. So I can honestly say I feel like in the ones I've competed in, sitting here looking at it, there's some guys, you know, that I wish were here, you know, but, you know, circumstances just kept them from being here. But outside of that, it's a really tight field, and you're going to have to beat some really, really good cars tomorrow night.
It seems like this has been a different year for Carroll Street Shop in particular. The two-car effort has really bolstered the program, that you and Landon have been able to lean off of each other and make each other better. And I think that's been reflected, and Blake talked about it a little bit earlier up in the booth, talked about the Langley run, talked about the Dominion run, maybe not the finishes that you want, but do you feel like you come into this with maybe a little bit more momentum than in years past, given the speed you've shown elsewhere?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was telling Blake actually earlier today, 5 out of the last 6 races we've been running inside the top 10 inside of 15 laps to go and had something go wrong, and it's robbed us of top 10 finishes in all of them. So that's unfortunate. Some of it was my doing, particularly speaking of Ace, you know, just got a little too aggressive. But you know, all you can ask for is to come to the racetrack with competitive race cars and have speed, and we've been able to do that. We've been able to show that so far here this weekend, and this is a place where having speed's very important because the pace doesn't slow down. You got to go hard all night. I mean, you try to do that in control, but the pace is just so much faster. You know, a lot of moving around. It's tough to pass, and with 40 cars, it'll be even that much harder. So I definitely think we've been able to lean on one another, and that's improved our program. But also, Justin and these guys have worked really hard all year long, and we get a little bit better, you know, each week. And we're closing in, I feel like, on victory lane as a group. I really do, and that's all you can ask for. So, you know, we're just going to keep plugging away at it. I'd love for tomorrow night, one of us keep it close to home for Thunder Road. Obviously, that's the main goal and objective. And I think we've put a good foot forward so far this weekend to at least, you know, start making gains on being able to potentially do that.
You're right, I think, in that this race does tend to be pretty quick in pace, just lap by lap. This being a little bit longer adventure compared to most of the races that we run, do we feel like that maybe suits your mentality and sort of your strengths as a driver, that you really have to do structure a 200-lap race as opposed to a 75, a 125, a 150 perhaps? Well,
I think the biggest thing is just patience, right? Like, you just have to know that it's really 2 races. I mean, you've got 100 laps, the 10-minute break, and then 100 laps. So obviously you have no shot of winning it if you're sitting on pit road after that first 100. So that's the main objective, is to survive and get through the first one, and obviously try to have the track position to set yourself up good to make an effort to go forward for the second one. So I just think for me that's just been the biggest thing. You know, you got to be patient, put yourself in position, survive, and then really just, you know, go after it pretty hard those last 50 laps.
And Brandon makes a great point, especially when you consider the weather as well. It will be sundown when we take the green flag. It will be full night when we get to that halfway point. And this track does cool down and gain grip as we progress through the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200. Brandon Pierce would love to end up in victory lane for Thunder Road Harley-Davidson and Carroll Speed Shot at the end of tomorrow night.
Well, thank you so much, James. Thank you, Brandon Pierce. He's a broadcaster, too, guys. This was the race that you had a prior commitment last fall, Blake, the Cars Tour race here. Brandon Pierce jumped on with me and Eric Brennan. We had a blast doing a little three-man weave. I don't know if we're going to have as much fun today. It was a tough act to follow. Great getting some insights from him on the broadcast, and you heard a lot of that there, just how he thinks about racing and how thoughtful he is and intentional. And I love the phrase there, you're not going to win it if you're sitting on pit road. So you have to survive those early stages, then try to make a move. I love Brandon Pierce. I love his chances. I think we're technically not supposed to root for anybody, but, man, he's got enough fans in his corner rooting for him anyway. He's going to be a big fan favorite this weekend.
That he is. And, again, he's somebody that competed full-time at South Boston Speedway a number of years ago and again, has been continuing to improve this program. You could see it right now on the scoring pylon. And I know we talked about Parker Eatman jumping up to the top of the charts. How about Jonathan Schaefer out of Hettinger Racing? They got 2 of the top 3 right now. They decided to go out and mock up, and that was not a bad decision. They seem to be really quick as we see Sample putting together a couple laps here in the 66. But what a lap there for Schaefer. Also, Matt Waltz almost nearly took to the top of the charts as well. We know that he's great every time we show up to Langley Speedway, but showing that same speed over here in South Boston as well.
Yeah, and that's a difficult thing to do. We've got a lot of drivers over here from Langley this weekend at South Boston Speedway, but the tracks could not be more different. And so it really shows a driver's ability and a driver like Matt Waltz to come and do well and perform well at both. Another driver that always performs well here at South Boston Speedway is the 26 of Peyton Sellers, making his first laps of this afternoon practice session. See how he gets to mock up, and he's running a little bit of different paint scheme. He's got some stars and stripes on the rear quarter.
Fantastic look for Peyton Sellers always, and yes, he is a guy that is very good everywhere he goes. He is great at South Boston Speedway. 63 career wins. That's not the all-time best, but he is closing in on Philip Morris. It is Philip Morris victory lane,
yes,
by the way. We're going to be mentioning that more. But Philip Morris with 76, and of course got some of those working with the Sellers Racing team. So Peyton Sellers, wow, you're going to be hearing about him and hearing from him a lot this weekend. I think Blake, Scott, we could all three of us just continue to talk the rest of the broadcast about Peyton Sellers. He's got that kind of resume. You never run out of things to talk about. There is a fantastic video out there about Peyton Sellers and his 5, yes, count them, 5 Virginia Triple Crown wins. He's the reigning champion in the Virginia Triple Crown as well. Blake, I know he would love to defend that this year.
Absolutely, and defend it in the right way. And again, lock into the Valley Star Credit Union 300. We know he's a driver, and this is a team that is more than capable of being able to pull off that feat. And again, I just can't overemphasize how important that is, because you could win this race, you can go on and win the Hampton Heat. You're still not, or in the past, you have not been guaranteed a spot in the Valley Star Credit Union 300, and you're only eligible to compete for that Triple Crown if you start in all 3 races. So being able to kind of defend home turf, if you will, would be very important for Peyton, for any of these other drivers that are out here this weekend.
It would be really important to go back and defend that, and a lot of drivers up on the wheel in this first practice session. It's Schaefer, Waltz, Eatman, Pierce, and Fogelman, the top 5 so far. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see. I just want to see how these drivers go into the evening, because practice is on tonight until 7:45. So the sun will continue to set, and I would be surprised if not more drivers are running later in the evening to feel how their car feels as the night begins to fall.
I want to take a little transition there from Peyton Sellers and some of the other guys you were talking about to a driver who was under the Sellers Racing banner. That would be the 00 Chase Burrow. Got his first Cars Tour victory back on May 31st at Langley, so he's riding a bit of a wave here. And obviously, when you're plugged in to the Sellers Racing team, you got a first-rate outfit there. Are you guys maybe a little surprised we haven't seen Chase Burrow take a few more practice laps here? Back to what you said about weather, etc. And I know he practiced a bit earlier, but maybe conspicuously absent so far in the early practice would be a decent phrase. I don't know.
Well, I talked to him earlier, And I know that a lot of people have been going through tech a lot today. Their rear quarter was high by 1/4 of an inch.
Okay.
And so they were working on that. And just as you talk about him, here he is pulling out of the pits, getting ready to go. And James is going to chime in on this.
Yeah, no, Scott, I thought you made a really good point there about sort of the changing nature over the track of the next 2 hours. I thought it was worth laying this out here over the course of practice for the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200. Blake just made the point. We heard Jonathan Safer go mock up and make a fast time. This is about the time, or maybe a little bit towards the later end of it, but you know, that 4:15 to 5 o'clock window, that's about the time tomorrow when we're going to run Go Halifax Pole qualifying and when someone's going to pick up the Anderson Outdoor Solutions Pole Award. So if you're looking to mock up in similar conditions to what you're going to run tomorrow when you actually need to set a fast time, it's a good idea to try and get that knocked out now. And as we progress through the evening, you should see more of these teams transition towards putting together long green flag runs and start working more on their race setup, because the conditions outside more closely mimic what we're going to have when we actually take the green flag in the 200 later on tomorrow night. So a lot of the fast times you may see now, we may see some quicker times just as the track cools off and gains a little bit more grip, but the general line of thinking has been for a while now in this practice session, mock early, work on the race pace late so that you can mirror where the track's going to be so far as the weather conditions are concerned, and you can get the most out of the practice session.
It's the case there. Thank you, James. And some important information as we see several of those cars that took to the racetrack finally starting to file their times in. Buddy Isles Jr., talked to him earlier today. He was 13th fastest right now on the scoring pylon. There you can see Blake Stallings again came up so close to winning 2 track championships last year, was able to get it done in Altamaha at Ace Speedway last season, and again was just a mere few points away from being able to pull off the double here at South Boston Speedway along with that racetrack. But interested to see how he stacks up right now, 12th fastest.
Well, that's a real difficulty in it itself, winning 1 track championship, let alone 2 in the same season at the same time, going back and forth between those. But Blake Stallings, he has been really, really good this season. He's sitting in 6th in national standings right now with the Advanced Auto Parts Weekly Series standings. But he hasn't won here yet this season. He had 3 wins last year in 2024, his breakout season, but he hasn't won back since August of 17th of last year.
And I think that's what's so frustrating about our sport, right? You get 3 wins last year, you win a track championship at Ace, you think, I'm just going to continue that progression. I'm going to take one more step up the ladder. Racing is never that easy. Blake Stallings is finding that out this year. He has not been bad. I've got the great stat, 27 consecutive top 10s for Blake Stallings. That's just incredible. He was 10th last year in the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200. And you heard James Pike talking about this is the time, basically, that we will have Go Halifax late model qualifying tomorrow. And fans, if you're ready for more than just race day, Halifax County offers a rich, authentic experience that will leave a twinkle in your eye. Explore the history and cultural offerings at the Prizery, savor local foods and drinks, and find the perfect spot to relax. From families to friends to race fans, Halifax County has something to offer everyone. Visit GoHalifaxVA.com. GoHalifaxVA.com. And remember, all the details about this race and our entire schedule are available online at SouthBostonSpeedway.com. We would love for you to come out and see us in person. I'm Kyle Haney. In the booth with me under the headsets are Blake McCandless, Mr. F4 Speed. We found out the story behind the nickname, Blake.
And so cool.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and then we've got Scott Shive up here. And Scott is bringing such a new energy for us, Blake, because, you know, you and I have been around some of these tracks for a while. You start saying the same things over and over again. Sometimes you need a guy like Scott to come in from Jackson, Mississippi, and just inject some new life into the proceedings.
I haven't been around too long, but I'm not trying to date myself or
He's
anything like that.
He's trying to outdate you.
I want everybody to feel as old as I am.
Now, hometown
right.
was fun, but I love it up here. This is my favorite place to be, especially here in Halifax County, Virginia. You know, I try to bring some things to the table and have some fun.
There you go.
Blake's trying to keep his youth right now.
I'm holding on to it. As Connor Jones, you saw his mock qualifying run a little bit earlier. He's 7th fastest right now. He pulls in to the pit lane and is parked right next to a car that we haven't seen this session. but have seen a lot of comments out there on the Facebook chat that are rooting for that car right next to him, a former winner of the Virginia Triple Crown in Trevor Ward. And I think would kind of echo what we heard earlier from Ryan Millington's interview when we got to catch up with him. Somebody that I'm sure has that notebook. They're dialed in. They're feeling pretty good. No need to push the issue or anything like that. But no, I saw a lot of fans out there that were cheering for that number 77 car.
Well, the guys up here need a break, and we've got some great content for you. As I said, most of this stuff is on social media. You can check it out. But our producer, Paul, our fearless leader, coming off the top rope with some fun stuff here. So we'll send you to learn more about the sights and the sounds of the Triple Crown. We just mentioned Trevor Ward. He's got one of these in his pocket. He would love another one. Hang tight, race fans. Enjoy this little practice session with us at South Boston Speedway. We're getting ready for the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200.
Woo, it is time to get this party started. The 18th running of the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200 here in South Boston, Virginia.
32 of the best late model stock drivers in the country right here at South Boston. The first leg of the Virginia Triple Crown. Kyle Dudley, Caden Honeycutt coming off of turn number 4. Green flag in hand, green flag in the air. The Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200 is underway.
This is so hard. This damn place it'll test how mentally tough you are, man. It's just, we're going so fast around here.
Contact is going to turn number 3. Caution flag will fly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cars involved. And unfortunately, a lot of very good race cars are out of the race now.
Car looks really good on that bottom side, way below the yellow line.
Trevor Ward trying to hold off Connor Hall.
Connor Hall, power move on the bottom side, and he'll get past Trevor Ward for leading lap 183. Connor Hall to the point. Nobody in contention. Connor Hall with his Nelson Motorsports will win.
Winner of the 18th Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200. Who right now can stop Connor Hall?
We're back at Larry King Law's Langley Speedway. A much different view. The skies have cleared, getting set for the biggest late model stock car race of the year, the Hampton Heat 200. Only one driver will get the prestigious Hampton Heat 200 trophy. The green flag is getting ready to unfurl. The Hampton Heat 200 is underway. Good racing at the head of the field.
He will muscle him up the racetrack. 0-3 machine. Now to the top of the heap again.
Brendan Queen back up front. Here comes Connor Hall for the second straight year in a row. And the first time in his career, Brendan Queen wins the Hampton Heat 200.
Every team has to come here with two agendas. 1, make the show. 2, chase that clock. Already, we've seen these drivers and teams go through so much just to prepare for a chance to be in this field. At a racetrack that is certainly a connecting link between the grassroots platform of motor racing and those who are going to be racing here just a few weeks from now with the NASCAR Cup Series.
Drivers, start your engines!
Fallen back into the clutches of Carson Quapple and company. Not sure if this is by design or if Hall may have a problem as he is gingerly working his way down the front stretch. Still 3 wide in the corner as Brown is watching the Virginia Triple Crown slip away from him as he's still trapped outside. Donnelly up in the air, Brown into the wall. Caution is out. In his third try is going to win himself a grandfather clock. Carson Quapple wins the Valley Star Credit Union 300.
This race has been the one that we've been chasing the last 3 years. I've been racing with these guys, and to be able to bring home one of the Martinsville clocks is even better. I'm not really sure how many more of these I'm going to get to be able to do, so this one's going to really be special to me.
I'm Trevor Ward, and you're watching Sobo on Flow.
Kyle, Blake, and Scott back at South Boston Speedway, and you are the final piece of the puzzle, race fans. Thanks for watching wherever you are at here on this Friday, final Friday of June. It's actually the first Friday of summer. It feels like summer out there, guys, but the forecast tomorrow is just fantastic. I hope if fans that are watching, if you're on the fence about coming, got a great forecast. I mean, upper 80s. Again, it's summer. But it's a lot better than what we had a few days ago where it's triple digits. I think tomorrow's going to be very enjoyable, especially as that sun starts going down. Hydrate a little bit. Hydrate and celebrate.
Hydrate a lot.
Hydrate a lot. Great point. Great point. Hydrate a lot and then celebrate with us. Celebrate racing. And, of course, we're celebrating freedom the best way we know how with an outstanding fireworks show after. Best fireworks show around. It takes a back seat to nobody, Scott. I mean, I'm going to ruin that if I keep using that.
You know I love it.
I mean, once a broadcast, we'll put a cap on it there. But, yeah, we're watching some more folks take time. And, we saw Trevor Ward bring us back in, which is fantastic. When are we going to see Trevor Ward get out there and practice a little bit? We'll find out. And James Pike may have some insight, or maybe he has some fun stuff. Who knows what James Pike has cooked up for us downstairs.
Well, I got some points to make here. So I guess, Kyle, I don't count as a piece of the puzzle at the race fans of the last piece. I'm the forgotten man, I guess, down here on pit road. So see how it is. But I wanted to tell you a little bit of a story because we like to have a lot of fun on these broadcasts on Flow Racing, and especially during this practice show for the Harley-Davidson 200. Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200, that is. Not like we have to be all on it all the time. So I'm going to tell a tale about one Scott Shive. Now, for those who, aren't well acquainted with Scott yet, you will, I promise. He's been fantastic on these shows all year. But Scott, big-time Mississippi guy, a lot of ties to Mississippi State. At Mississippi State, they have a lot of fun at the football games. They like to ring cowbells, especially on third down. Make some noise, throw off the opposition, have some fun with it. It's one of their great traditions, one of the great traditions of college football. And so when we started off the year and I found out that Scott was going to be part of the team here at South Boston, I made the point to him. I said, Scott, when you come up for the 200, you have to make sure you bring some cowbells. You got to bring some cowbells for us because those things are fun, and I have a feeling we could get some use out of it in a racetrack. So I asked the question to you, Mr. Scott Shive. Did you remember to bring the cowbells like we talked about, or are they still stuck way down south?
Oh, they're stuck. And
they're
I
stuck.
think they'll be stuck for a while. Why else would they not be stuck? I look like an insane, crazy person bringing a cow. Nobody knows what that means.
Look. What do you mean, look? Who's to say that we all aren't just are?
That's very true. You make many great points. I'm so glad that you get to throw me under the bus here and have fun with me.
So bring cowbells. So bring cowbells in September, then.
Okay, that's fine with me. I can do that.
Or bring them up whatever.
If you so desire, James, I'll do whatever you want.
We can get some Wake Forest stuff in return. Go Deeks. Got to make sure we hit that on the broadcast, too. And I guess I'll leave it be by making sure that I acknowledge that we do have Wolfpack in the house, courtesy of Blake McCandless, big-time NC State guy. And Kyle, I don't know who you're a fan of, but I guess we're about to find out here.
Well, I'm still so heartbroken that you did not feel included. James, you are not the piece of the puzzle. You are like the frame.
Oh,
you know
we're having fun with it.
Absolutely. When you complete the puzzle and you put it in the frame, that's you. You bring us all together, and you're A+ as always. And yeah, I was actually born in Iowa, believe it or not, so I am an Iowa Hawkeye fan.
He's a Hawkeye fan.
Yeah.
All right.
I got a few ties to a couple other places as well, but No, you are more than a piece of the puzzle, James, and you know this.
I kid. I just said I'm here to have fun, to make the point also.
But I'm glad you checked me. I mean, that's what we need. That's what the broadcast. You know, the worst is when the broadcasters just constantly agree with each other. You know, you need some dissenting opinions. I think
a little bit of contesting, bickering, that sort of thing. That's fair.
Absolutely.
So, also, I guess by extension, and I'll close at this point, you have two drivers potentially to cheer for in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. One of them is standing right next to you in the booth, Junior Motorsports Blake McCandless.
Yep.
The other is University of Iowa graduate and Spire Motorsports driver and current points leader, Stephen Wilson, who concludes many an interview with Go Hawks. He's a man that knows how to fight for Iowa.
I feel like I've seen that on that eNASCAR social media on a race day post or something like that. Speaking of social media, of course, South Boston Speedway. If you're not following us on Facebook and Instagram and X, you really need to be. You're following us on something probably if you're watching this broadcast right now. It's on YouTube as well. So we're obviously having some fun, and I know we used to talk about the fandoms in college sports and maybe professional sports a bit more. I'm trying to think of some of our drivers in the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200 who they root for, Blake. Is anybody coming to mind as far as massive sports fans out there?
You know, I'm trying to think of a few, but
I put you on the spot with that.
I'm not totally like follow college football, but I wouldn't really be able to dive into the minds of all these guys and know exactly who they root for. How about Matt Waltz, though? Fastest of the bunch right now. Goes to the top of the charts. Brandon Pierce came out and ran a faster mock run as well. And Connor Jones, Landon Pimbleton worked their way towards the top 5. Or Connor Jones is there as well.
So a lot of drivers moving all around the board. And again, the track continuing to cool at this period of the race, or practice. I say the race. I'm so excited for the race. I'm getting on ready. And Matt Waltz from Carrollton, Virginia. So he's from the Virginia area, unlike some of us. You know, Kyle did not know you were from Iowa. And so all across the board, my dad was from Iowa.
Oh, yeah?
He was. He was born in Des Moines.
You know, I sometimes try to follow that rule to where, you know, the broadcaster shouldn't be talking about themselves.
That's very true.
That much. But as we've said, this is a no rules Friday. This is a practice session, so I think we can break some of those rules. You know, interesting. I guess I'm going to talk more. I'm thinking about guys that we haven't talked about yet, and with 39, 40 cars in the field, we may not be able to hit on everybody today. Plus, we've got our other divisions as well, but I think we got to give some of the spotlight to Bobby McCarty as well. You know, we've talked about Peyton Sellers, Trevor Ward, Brandon Pierce, some of these other guys that are local favorites. Bobby McCarty is a guy that is a fan favorite here, Blake. He's a fan favorite pretty much everywhere he races.
That he is. And again, I was catching up with his spotter for this weekend, Stephen Dunn, a little bit earlier today. And again, they were talking about just the fact with this kind of brand new, I don't want to say brand new race team, but Bobby running with his own race team now, we know that the driver can get it done here. They have all the confidence in the world that this is one of Bobby's, if not his best racetrack. This is all the way up there for Bobby McCarty. And again, curious to see if they can build the notebook with this car, with this team right now. They were pretty much in a position to win in March when they were running here at South Boston Speedway earlier this year. They felt like they had a winning car there. Circumstances didn't work out, but they were well on their way to doing so. And again, I love to see the new approach for Bobby McCarty, who's kind of remade himself in a way and is in a great position physically, mentally in his life. And we know that in the past, again, we could just go over all the accolades, multi-time Cars Tour champion, Triple Crown winner, all of those things. But I would love to see how he approaches this, knowing the great race car driver that he is, with all those improvements that he's made off the racetrack. Really curious to see how that pans out this weekend. It seems like they got another fast piece tonight.
Fourth in the opening race of the season, driver from Madison, North Carolina. He was also the 2012 Limited Sportsman champion here at South Boston Speedway. But like y'all said, he's a favorite pretty much everywhere he goes. And again, right now during this practice session, there's late model stocks out there as well as our Limited Sportsman division, our Budweiser Limited Sportsman division. And here's the thing, race fans, we would love for you to be with us today, obviously, here at the racetrack, but we really want you to be here with with us tomorrow. And we got a lot of products and foods and drinks for you to enjoy. We've got the track bar right downstairs where you can get a cold, refreshing Budweiser or any of the Bud products. And of course, if you don't want that, you can get an ice cold Coca-Cola, because I'm going to have one right now.
It's too good. It's too good right now. It's a lot of fun. Yeah.
Did I mention the bologna burger?
Oh, well, you didn't, but you really should. And fans, we are known for that bologna burger. They have been talking about that bologna burger. You know, one thing I do is I get on the internet and watch all the old TV broadcasts from South Boston Speedway. We're talking about that thing in the 70s, in the 80s. So it is legendary. You need to try one. And the hamburgers are pretty darn good, too. You're getting a look on the screen at Corey Dunn in that Budweiser Limited Sportsman Division, turning a few more laps. And then, is that Connor Hall down there? Out for more? Well, I love talking about Connor Hall. He's another guy. He's a fan favorite. He wins so much. He has 2 Triple Crown wins, of course, last year here at the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200. And then also he won the Hampton Heat in 2019 at Langley. He's got 3 runner-up finishes, thrice a runner-up at Langley, and that's where he started cutting his teeth. I mean, this guy is like Peyton Sellers. He's an Advanced Auto Parts Weekly Series national champion. Connor Hall has really done it at so many levels and so many tracks. He is one that you always have to consider as a potential winner, guys.
Absolutely, especially with him and now being under the Junior Motorsports stable. Again, he took back the lead of the Cars Tour point standings with their last run that they had at Dominion Raceway a couple of weeks ago. I think starting to kind of turn around again. I don't want to call it a slump that they had with this program, but they have very high expectations, and Connor has very high expectations for himself, and I'm sure carrying that into this weekend right now. Again, mocked up. This is the second time he's been out in this practice session and looking as if he's doing more of a race run, which, again, he has plenty of racetrack right now to do it. But went out, ran probably, about 6 or 7 laps or so before pulling it in to their trailer at the backstretch pit area.
Well, and you mentioned that slump, and, they won the opening race at the Cars Tour this year at New River All-American. Then they go out and win Cordele in its inaugural race. But then you enter that quote-unquote slump, and they're really trying to gain back from that. Last race out at Dominion, they did pretty darn well to be able to take back that points lead. But I think one interesting point bringing us back to South Boston is obviously Connor Hall won this race last year, but he did it in the Nelson Motorsports 22. How will he run this year in the 88 from Junior Motorsports? Because here's the thing. We know that Connor Hall is the same driver, if not better. But what is it going to be like in that change of running here at South Boston Speedway in the Nelson car versus the Junior Motorsports car?
And those are questions that we try to answer tomorrow, or maybe you should say the drivers and the teams try to answer them tomorrow. And even after tomorrow night, you still may have some unanswered questions, right? Because you could have a good run. You get knocked out, you get banged up, maybe just a random mechanical failure. Who knows? But that's a lot of what we're trying to do today is ask those questions, and then we'll see how many answers we get tomorrow. We've got caution lights on the track right now. I think we're going to get some more from our Dollar General Hornets and possibly also Southside Disposal Pure Stock division. They're going to practice up too. But guys, still seeing Matt Waltz at the top of the charts there, and this is just practice. Once again, fans, not qualifying, but boy, that tells you a whole lot. And that's a guy that I think maybe the average race fan doesn't know a ton about, Matt Waltz. But if this is any indication, I think we're going to be learning about him more and talking about Matt more.
And again, if he can carry this speed that he has here at South Boston over to Langley, where we know that he is an incredible race car driver at that facility, I mean, that gives him a chance to try and challenge for this Triple Crown. And that's why when you look down the running order of late model stock car racing now, there's so many people that you can point to that have a legitimate chance to end up at victory lane at the end of the day. It's incredible to think about just how many drivers, teams, if given the right circumstances, if given the right car, they have the talent to figure it out. It's what makes what we do so exciting because it's so hard to predict. I mean, just think of all the people that we were talking about: Peyton Sellers, Bobby McCarty, Trevor Ward, Connor Hall, and yet we get to watch all of these very talented race car drivers that all have an incredible chance to win. And more names we didn't mention: but we just don't know. We just don't know, and that's what makes being a fan of this so exciting.
It's what makes us so excited to be able to be here and be able to talk to you race fans out there and just about this event and how historic it is here in the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200. And you mentioned all those drivers having so much opportunity and so much talent, and yet the opportunity to prove that is so little. We only have 3 races in that time, and by the time we get to Martinsville in two races from now, well, that's it. That's the deciding factor. And so you have to get there, and you get there, and you have to prove to get into that race. Even if you do well but don't win at the next 2 races here at the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200 and the Hampton Heat, then you have to qualify your way in. So you could finish second in both and not make the 300.
And that's a fabulous point about you've only got 3 chances to prove it. That is our sport in a nuance, I think. And this, as you said, this Virginia Triple Crown Series, that's why it brings out those extreme emotions, right? That's why you see guys get so excited when they do win. You see guys excited when they finish top 5, and then you see the other end of the emotion as well, that heartbreak, that frustration. It's going to run the gambit, good, bad, and ugly. And back to, I think that's why this sport is so utterly watchable, because you get those emotions on full display, and it will be very evident tomorrow night, guys, as we have a look at Daniel Bird in the number 42 there. He's got the Dollar General paint scheme. That should be good for something here in the Dollar General Hornets division. Blake, this is a theme that Scott and I have been on this year, the look of a race car. I know that's important to you because just when you walked in, you were talking about, I can't remember who it was. Who were you talking about had the great-looking car?
It was the 78 that we saw that was
Atlee Weiss.
Yeah, we were competing in the Budweiser Limited Sportsman a little bit later on this weekend. And, I mean, it's just one of those things that, again, if you're sitting in the grandstands and you have a car that pops and people can draw to it, or even like that 42 car Bird there, kind of a Ward Burton, I would say, throwback.
Yes.
Paint scheme, excuse me, on that race car as well. It's just something that attaches, whether it's a fan that's been around a long time or somebody who's kind of consuming it for the first time, or even a younger fan. It always helps to have a race car that is popping, that's bright, and is good looking.
Another one of those drivers that has an excellent paint scheme, the 83 of Landon Milam, currently second in the Dollar General Hornets division standings. And again, like I said earlier, 3 wins in the last 4 races, and he's currently topping the charts in Hornets times. I know you see those 2 times combined, but the top 5 are Southside Disposal Pure Stocks, and the rest are Dollar General Hornets.
We love the Milam madness. They will the Milam family will be a big part of our conversation tomorrow. Let's go back to the Ward Burton paint scheme. If you really want the authentic scheme there, Blake, you got to check out Trace Daniel, who is also running in the Limited Sportsman division. I mean, that's the car, the old Goof Fallen entry, the yellow with the number 2, Danny Willis Jr., and maybe Danny Willis Sr. even ran that paint scheme as well. But that look has won a ton of races and made a ton of fans here at South Boston Speedway. Speaking of looks that have made so many fans here at South Boston Speedway, I think we should mention Buddy Isles Jr. in the Flying 11. That is one that I think so many race fans will remember and recognize, and still looks good to see that Flying 11 zipping around a racetrack.
Well, again, I remember it was a couple of weeks ago when we were on Flow Racing for a Cars Tour race, and we just happened to kind of be sitting under one of our cloud commercial breaks where we kind of sit on a static shot of the track, and I never saw so many comments on social media after, or basically during, what was an extended red flag where we weren't commentating, we were taking a little bit of a break, and yet Buddy Isles Jr.'s car was parked smack dab right in front of that static shot. You could see the Flying 11 on the side. Even Mark Martin chimed in and said, man, do these late model stock cars look good? And that's definitely one car, especially here in the Virginia area, that is always one that catches the eye of many race fans.
Eyes always being caught here, and I've said it. I love the colors here at South Boston Speedway. I love the paint schemes. It's one of my favorite things that we get to see, because I think a car that looks good can drive good for the most part. I think it gives the driver some confidence when they say, hey, I look good going out here on the racetrack. Some drivers that look good going out there, the 17 of Daniel Silvestri. He's making a start out here in the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200. He's in the 17 for the first time here at South Boston, and we've seen that car be run by Caden Honeycutt and many others, but he's been able to strike a deal with them this year and been able to run part-time.
Yeah, he's run a couple of races with this team already this year. Ran at Dominion, ran at North Wilkesboro earlier this season. Has not competed in a Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200, but has made a number of starts, including with this race team in the Valley Star Credit Union 300 before. And again, he's one of those drivers I think we're going to see kind of a big chunk. We saw a couple of teams that at the last pit gate crossover, they've already taken the tent down. They're loaded up and they're heading home. But there's a big group of drivers right now that this is their time to go out and try to make their mock qualifying run. And again, the track's changed a lot. It's a lot cooler. Look, it's been cloudy, I would say, the last 15 or 20 minutes or so, and you're seeing that on the stopwatch immediately. Ronnie Bassett Jr., who did go out earlier, immediately jumps up to the top of the charts by nearly a tenth of a second. Track has changed a lot as we'll check back in trackside with James Pike.
I've got Bobby McCarty here with me, and Bobby, if your relationship with Austin, and I don't even think of the races that you won. If anything, I think of the car store titles where the rallying for the flat tire in 18, winning it by a nose in 19. But this is a different setup entirely to anything before coming into this. So what's your mindset now at this point in your career going into another Triple Crown, another Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200?
You know, it's still the same mindset. You know, I'm here to win. You know, every weekend is what we're after, and it's just more personal to me now with it, you know, being my family-owned stuff, and I'm kind of the puck stops with me kind of deal. But, you know, I know what it takes. I know what we need to be doing and what we need to be capable of. So I feel good about it, man. Plus, I'm having a ball. So that's the main thing, just having, you know, friends and family and doing it from just a standpoint of, you know, just the sheer love of the sport, man. Like this year's been really cool. It's different, but it's been really cool.
Has it been sort of maybe, I don't know, freeing, lifting? It seems like you don't necessarily have the weight that you've had on your shoulders in years past, and that it's made a difference in your mood significantly.
Oh, yeah. You know, like I said, it's, I mean, I still put the same amount of pressure on myself just because of, you know, my stats and all that other stuff. You know, I know I can still do this, and I want to do it, so I keep the pressure on myself, but you know, other than that, man, it's me and the Pops and a lot of the guys from Nelson back in the day when we won the championship. So you know, it's a lot more free flowing. You know, we all come from teams that won a lot of races, and that's what we want to do. But you know, even when the day's not going the way we want it to, we still have our laughs, we still joke and have a good time. So it's cool, man.
Let's dig into the car a little bit. You've been able to get a few laps in practice. How does it feel, and how do you feel like you stack up going into tomorrow?
I think we're pretty good. I'm a little worried about short run speed. It's just something I haven't really figured out with this car yet, but I think our race pace is really good, and I'm happy with the balance of the car. It's doing everything I wanted to do. It's a little free, but you know, with it being 180 degrees and when this track gets a ton of cars on it like this, it tends to trend free. So nothing concerning yet. You know, we gotta dot a couple I's, cross a couple T's, and we'll be just fine.
Any big plans for the rest of practice, or a few little cents race pace to round it out here with these final, call it maybe hour and a half or so?
No, I mean, I kind of know what the car needs to feel like, you know, to be good here for a really long race. So I'm going to try to make one more run. Hopefully I'll finally be happy and I can load this damn thing up, go get in the AC, hang out, maybe cook a steak or something.
That does sound delicious. I don't know about y'all, but Bobby's got the right idea with the steak, and he might have the right idea with his car. To a driver that, as Blake mentioned, has had tons of success at South Boston Speedway over the years. Would love to add this race with this team to his resume, how significant it would be to win the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson in his own equipment.
Always love hearing from Bobby McCarty, a well-known, well-documented weight loss journey for Bobby McCarty as well. You can check that out on the internet if you want to learn more. But yeah, 9 late model wins here for Bobby McCarty, including the big one twice. And it's 2 wins in the 200 in the last 4 years, guys. Bobby McCarty was the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200 champion in 2021 and also 2023. Slightly different circumstances in 2023, but you can't take it away from Bobby McCarty. And I know Scott mentioned at one point, he's got 11 limited sportsman wins here, and I think that's where people really learned about Bobby and his skills, and he became a fan favorite, was actually in that limited sportsman division. And he's moved on to late model stuff and really has been one of the all-time best.
He has, and again, just with this new approach for him, you can tell how special this is. Again, he ran the season opener at New River All-American Speedway for the Cars Tour earlier this year, and even being able to do that and accomplish that with the people that are working with him and the circumstances that he's now racing under, you can just tell it just means more to him. It's very special what this team has and what they're working towards. And even, again, bad days seem really good with this team. So I love the approach there for Bobby McCarty. As we were watching that 7 of Jeff Sparks, man, he was he was sliding that car around. We talk about the fact that this track is gaining grip, but you could see right there Jeff Sparks was still hanging it around this 0.4 of a mile racetrack.
Yeah, Jeff Sparks from Ackworth, Georgia. He's been running with us all season long here this season. And, you know, even before South Boston, he had last year 5 NASCAR Advanced Auto Parts Weekly Series wins. And so he was not off the board in 2024, but he's really shown up in a big way in 2025, and he's sixth in our standings here at South Boston Speedway. And so he's been running decently well in that number 7. He's just outside of the top 10 in 11th position, and he's put down a 15.55. So he's always looking for a little bit more, but I would say sitting 11th out of over 25 cars that have ran out here in this practice session, looking pretty good.
Yeah, good stuff for Jeff Sparks, who is not a rookie, but this will actually be his Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200 debut. It will be his Triple Crown debut as well. I'm Kyle Haney, Scott Shive, you just heard from Blake McCandless. James Pike is the real puzzle man down there. We can't leave out James Pike, and I'm sure James Pike is going to get us another driver to talk to here soon enough. Now there is the number 92 of Lane Woods.
I can't necessarily get you another driver, but I figured I'd just chime in here while we've got a moment. The wind has picked up down on pit road, especially towards turn 1. So a lot of these teams are literally just anchoring down their tents and whatever setups they had to sort of block the shade over their pits. Absolutely just wind, and more wind coming along here over on the turn 1 side in particular. Not so bad on the front stretch, but turn 1, so might change things a little bit.
Yeah, I kind of saw that for just a moment, whether it's the flag that's waving Old Glory in the middle of this racetrack or some of the tents over by turn 1. You could definitely see the wind starting to affect this again. Maybe that's why Jeff Sparks was having some, I don't want to say issues, but was a little bit free at that end of the racetrack as it's kind of blowing down the front stretch. So it's kind of a little bit of a wind that will it'll kind of get you loose, especially in turns 3 and 4 at this end of the racetrack. You'd be pushing in 1 and 2.
You definitely see it out there. I mean, some of those tents trying to fly away. Junior Motorsports crew, look, they're taking down theirs. I believe Cade Brown and his operation, they're getting theirs down. So making sure everybody's not losing any tents this afternoon.
We talked earlier about grip and the fact that this is a high grip racetrack. Was talking to that 47 Riley Music a little earlier today, and he's one of those drivers that, again, is kind of cutting his teeth in his first late model stock car season at Langley Speedway, and he was kind of frank about it. He says, I like that type of racing, or it suits my skill set a little bit more as he's trying to adjust to kind of the higher grip that is up here at South Boston Speedway. As, what do you know, death taxes and Peyton Sellers at the top of the charts here at South Boston Speedway.
Peyton Sellers is up there, and hold that thought for a second, because we do want to announce, and this is more for our live audience, Facebook and YouTube, X fans that are watching, but anybody that is hearing us at the track, the tents need to come down from all the teams that have the tents up, because there is high wind in the area. We think we're okay as far as lightning and rain goes, but there is some high wind, as James just mentioned. So when the track gets a little colder here, we're going to make that announcement again, and I think officials are trying to go through and talk to the teams individually, but we will announce that again here in just a moment. But yes, Peyton Sellers always qualifies well. Should be no surprise that he's up there right now. Once again, just want to note, this is practice. Go Halifax qualifying will start around 4:15 tomorrow. We'll get our Flow Racing broadcast cranked around 4 p.m. and we really hope to have you watching in person or online, or perhaps both. That's always a fun way to enjoy the races. Yeah, we got the caution lights out now, so I'm going to say it again. Race teams that can hear us, the tents need to come down. There is high wind in the area, and race officials, race control, asking that you take all those tents down. So let's get that done ASAP, and everybody will be safe, and we'll be turning some laps again.
You know, looking at the scoring charts, this is a name I don't want to say we glossed over, but how about Doug Barnes Jr., who put that lap down quite a ways before this track started to cool down, and we saw some of this cloud cover and everything, and that lap is held steady through most of the session, and no shocker there. Again, Lee Pulliam bringing a fast car to South Boston Speedway, no shockers there.
We're going to go to a quick break here from South Boston Speedway and get everything handled here, but practice will resume very shortly. We'll be back. This is Sobo on Flow.
A celebration of speed and freedom. An Independence Day spectacle as the greatest grassroots racers put it all on the line as we celebrate the red, white, and blue. It's the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200 at South Boston Speedway. Once again, kicking off the prestigious Virginia Late Model Triple Crown. And you're invited Saturday night, June 28th. Fireworks? Oh, there will be fireworks on and off the track. Get here early, grab a world-famous bologna burger, and strap in. Tickets are $20 in advance or $25 at the gate. Kids 12 and under are always free. Seniors, active duty military, and veterans, students, and first responders, tickets are $20 no matter when you buy. Meet your local heroes at our on-track autograph session, then get ready for racing at 7 p.m. And of course, stay for the fireworks show. Get your tickets and race day information at southbostonspeedway.com.
Hey race fans, Peyton Sellers. I can't wait to see you all at the South Boston Speedway, which is why I've teamed up with the folks at Drive Smart Virginia to ask, who's your driver? Not your driver on the track, but your driver to get you home safely. As a racer, my main goal is to win. By using a seatbelt and having a designated driver, you're guaranteed to win as well. We need all of you at every race cheering us on, and we sure need you to have a plan to get home safe. Visit who'syourdriver.org to learn more, and I'll see you at the finish line.
Welcome back to practice coverage here for the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200 at South Boston Speedway on the South Boston YouTube and Facebook and X pages. I'm James Pike. You got Kyle Haney, Blake McCandless, and Scott Shive in the booth. Quick update from Hettinger Racing and Jonathan Schaefer's team. He's in that 5 car, that sort of all-star car for that operation that Caden Honeycutt has run primarily in 2025. I just saw Jonathan. He's got his suit and his helmet all bagged up. He was getting ready to leave the property, and I looked at him and he said, "Are you done for the day?" And he said, "Yep." And crew looked at me and said he feels really, really happy about the car. Let's just hope it stays that way tomorrow. So Jonathan Schaefer really happy with the way that thing is running so far. Blake, you noted how fast he was in practice earlier. So Schaefer done for the day, done for practice, and he'll get back behind the wheel tomorrow when we get after it in the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200.
And again, with Hettinger Racing, it just seems when we've watched this team in the car store that their teams seem to kind of go hand in hand with each other. That if both cars are struggling, they may not be quite up there. But when one car is good, it's often that both cars are very, very fast. And it seems they brought that earlier today to where they felt confident enough that, yeah, they could leave a little bit earlier in the evening. And I'm sure they'll be competing up front again. Jonathan Schaefer, somebody who hasn't been competing quite full-time in late model stocks. He ran a lot of pro late models last year with Walker Motorsports. but I know he's hungry to get one of these big titles under his belt, and certainly capable of getting the job done, as well as Parker Eatman. Again, he won the Thanksgiving Classic last year. He knows a thing or two about winning big races. He did that at Southern National Motorsports Park last fall.
Yeah, Schaefer really trying to get his name back in the mix, the big-time mix. And speaking of getting back in the mix, Zach Reeves is trying to do that here today in the Southside Disposal Pure Stocks division. He is 100th off of BJ Reeves, his brother, who is up on the top of the practice scoring charts. And there is Johnny Lane right there in the number 9. He is in 3rd overall in the practice times, and we knew he was going to come out here and be fast, but good to see Zach Reeves back, and it looks like they've gotten most of the bugs and the jitters out of that car that was damaged.
Yeah, very nice to see Zach Reeves back, and also the same for Johnny Lane, as we have documented a few times. He has yet to make his 2025 debut, but it looks like Johnny Lane will take the green flag tomorrow. Racing order tomorrow. This might be of note for some fans. Again, we've got Go Halifax late model stock car qualifying at 4:15. Our other 3 divisions will do group qualifying basically beginning at 2:45. But when the green flag drops at 7 p.m., it'll be the Budweiser Limited Sportsmen that start us with a 40-lapper. Southside Disposal Pure Stocks go next, 20 laps. Dollar General Hornets for 20 laps tomorrow. And then it's Centera late model stock car racing in the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200. That'll be the main event. We'll do driver intros before that, get to meet and greet all this fabulous talent. And then fireworks after. Fireworks on the track, fireworks after the track. James Pike is always the hardest working man in racing, and he's back again.
I don't necessarily know if that's 100% true, though I try to find good people, and I have found good people. Daniel Silvestri got a lot of late model experience, winner at Dominion in touring competition this weekend, running for Tom Hooser Racing. So, Daniel, how's the car? How have you felt in practice? How's your Friday been here at South Boston?
It's been hot. Just trying to drink some water and stay hydrated. James, car's good. Thomas Racing guys done a great job, and I just can't thank all the work that they've done. We've battled with it. We just keep getting better. Definitely the heat threw us through loops, so we're just working on the balance, just trying to figure out where you want to chase and what car you're looking to feel. But just can't thank everybody enough. They've worked so hard, and they're out in the heat just as like I am and everyone else here. So just hoping everyone's drinking water and staying hydrated for sure.
You've had the opportunity to work with a few different organizations. What sort of stands out to you about the Tom Hooser operation?
Yeah, I've been very blessed to drive a lot of race cars, and I don't get to do this very often. I'm a part-time guy. I just pride on trying to run well when I get to go. So I just can't thank Kenneth Packer and this crew enough for letting me drive the race car. It's a privilege. It's a privilege to do so, and all the people that make this possible.
This being the practice show, we get to have some fun, so I've got some fun questions for you. Number 1, is Brent Pry the right guy for the Hokies football team?
A few years ago, I'd say yes. I'm losing some hope. I thought last year was our year. I don't know about this year, but, look, we just got to keep turning it around. Maybe we'll get Vic back. I think Michael Vick in 2 years, the head coach of the Virginia Tech football team.
You're hoping he'll do well at Norfolk State and then make the jump over and sort of pull a Dion? Is that the idea?
Absolutely. That's what we need.
Well, all right. Now, maybe the most important question. Are you a believer in Kevin Long at all?
Say that one more time.
Are you a believer in Kevin Long at all?
No. Unfortunately not. We're still figuring it out. I mean, look, at least my Sixers, I like the pick my Sixers made. So at least basketball team looks good. So.
Not a fan of the Phillies hitting, not necessarily a fan of Vontae football's direction at the moment, but he's a believer in the Sixers, and you got the Eagles, right?
Yeah, Super Bowl champs. We're going to repeat next year. Just go Birds, baby.
If you like the Hokies and if you like Philadelphia sports and you're looking for a driver, Daniel Silvestri might be your guy.
We asked the question earlier in our broadcast here, who is the biggest sports fans, and we've got our answer. Daniel Silvestri, the Silver Slugger. Could he have a home run in him tomorrow, guys?
It's possible. Look, we know that 17 car out of Thomas Racing is a really good one. You know, when Caden Honeycutt ever gets the opportunity to wheel that one, he gets to hop in that seat. We've seen him do really well, and I think Silvestri is one of those guys that a lot of people don't exactly think about, but he's one that you should start thinking about. You know, a driver from Fayetteville, North Carolina, and he won the Martinsville pole for the Valley Star Credit Union 300 in 2021. Had a great run there. He's been able to go here and there in the past couple of years in between that pole, but he has really said that he's excited to go back. They're running the full Triple Crown this year, and so he's one of those guys that I think might be one that's not quite the top, that not a lot of people look at, that I think we should definitely not overlook.
Speaking of not overlooking a driver, how about the one on the screen right here, Landon Pembleton? Ton of speed that he brings to South Boston Speedway every single week that he's out here. And again, I felt so bad for him a couple weeks ago at Dominion Raceway. He said it was the fastest car that I ever got to drive. Was speaking to our camera operator, who, by the way, will be in Turn 1 tomorrow in Dan Love. And he was with that operation, Dominion Raceway, a couple weeks ago. And again, was so dejected, so disappointed over what they thought was probably one of the best cars he's ever had at Dominion. Didn't get to finish with it. But again, I think these things work in waves, and he's got a lot of momentum carrying that speed into this weekend, and certainly a driver that's more than capable of getting it done here at South Boston.
Landon Pembleton told us earlier that he's going to run that Dominion car tomorrow, which is not the same car that he has been using on a regular basis here at South Boston Speedway. He did win a race on May 24th. Landon Pembleton is only 3 points out of the lead here at South Boston Speedway. Of course, we've got a little extra juice this year thanks to Empower Broadband and Hitachi Energy with our loyalty bonuses. Trevor Ward is the points leader right now. Peyton Sellers is, I believe, 2 points in arrears. But Landon Pembleton just 3 out of the lead. Podium rate has been 60% at South Boston Speedway this year, Scott. So this is sort of a multifaceted question. Interesting. And I'll say, how much does that intrigue you that he is not using the same car that he has been so successful with so far this year?
I was really surprised, and you know, but I'm now getting to talk to him not as surprised, just because of how confident he felt in that car. You know, he talked to me this morning. I said, you know, since you're running this car, what do you believe gave you the idea and the confidence to run that car here? Because I asked him what was similar about Dominion and about here at South Boston. He said really just the thrill of the speed and the speed that you carry here out of the corners at South Boston and the same at Dominion. He felt that they were so similar. And so he talked about, you know, getting into the corner and getting out. And he said the only thing that was truly different was, you know, how South Boston has such a wider arcing corner. But at Dominion, he said it was a lot different. And so he felt so confident in those aspects of the track that he felt that this car would perform really well here. And right now, he's 7th on the boards, just 2/10 back from Peyton Sellers, who has set the fastest time.
See Cade Brown here, a couple of laps, going a little bit beyond what would be a mock qualifying run, so you won't see that car climb up a little bit higher on the speed charts. But again, I think a driver that has done really well under the RNS race car banner here in 2025. And, you know, one challenge that I think that, I mean, Cade is going to face, every single one of these drivers is going to face tomorrow. And you've heard it down there in the pit area that all these drivers have mentioned the elements that they've been battling this weekend. That's certainly going to be a case. I mean, 200 laps, a physical, mental challenge that is going to be quite difficult for these drivers, again, because South Boston Speedway, this is a track that you don't get downtime. You don't get to take a breath on the straightaway because you're already pretty much in the next corner. That's something all of these drivers are going to be dealing with.
And
I know I talked to one driver earlier today. He said he was planning on getting an IV tonight.
Yeah.
Because he's trying to prepare and make sure he's hydrated for tomorrow.
You really have to have a plan. You have to have a hydration plan, and it probably needed to start last week. You can't just guzzle down some water here on Friday morning and expect to be okay after multiple days in the heat. That goes for the team members as well. They're running around outside, lugging stuff. Yeah, they don't have the full fire suit, the helmet on, but still very hot for those men and women. And a good point to encourage all of our fans, if you are going to join us tomorrow in person, which we know you are, right? make sure you're getting hydrated right now. I mean, seriously, drink a bunch of extra water, liquids tonight. That way you're not behind when you come out tomorrow, and everybody will just get to have a great time. Because I don't know about you guys, and again, broadcasters aren't supposed to talk about themselves, but I've missed the hydration mark, not necessarily at a race, but just other times. And there is no worse feeling than when you get hit by the heat, and it's scary. I mean, it can be very scary.
It's very true, and we want everyone that comes and joins us tomorrow for the 2025 19th running of the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200 to be well hydrated and enjoying every experience here at the racetrack, because we love to get to come to the racetrack and enjoy the facility and enjoy the racing.
You know, Scott, I thought I'd add some hydration tips here. Having dealt with a lot of the heat today, conditions have changed, but if you're looking for things that might be useful, and especially if you're coming here to the track tomorrow, Gatorade, Powerade, any sort of sports drink, not necessarily in excess, but definitely at least one of those bottles to get a few electrolytes in your system will be good. If you've got any sort of mixed drink sort of things, I think of a powdered mix like a liquid IV, something like that, that also can suffice sort of in the mix. And then you probably want to mix it in with just some standard water every once in a while to try and balance things out. I know last year my count was about 7 liters. Granted, I was down here from about 2:30 in the afternoon to call it maybe 10:30, 11 at night. So my number is going to be a little bit higher than everybody else's. But if you're thinking fans in the stands, you know, bottled water, big Nalgene's, things of that nature, that's the way you want to go about it, because it will certainly be warm. Not excessively hot, but definitely one of those days where you're going to need some water in your system no matter what kind of things you consume, whether or not it's beers or sodas or things of that nature. And I figure a mixture of everything is probably the best way to go about it.
And James, I know you and I are both big proponents of the sunscreen. I mean, skin care is self-care. And really, for a race fan, you don't have anywhere to hide from the sun. So it would not hurt to get some sunscreen on, and don't be afraid to reapply.
Every hour and a half in theory, although I usually go with a sort of thicker layer of it to start, so my numbers get to be a little bit later. But shout out to Costco for the bajillion brands of sunscreen that they have. You get a whole bunch of big value packs and travel packs, and I keep at least one of those in my bag and usually try and reapply a few times each day to make sure that I'm not worrying about any sort of skin cancer things later on down the line. And it's also part of the reason why I love wearing hats on pit road too, because that protects your noggin, protects your scalp, and depending on whether or not you have hairs on your head or are losing your hairs on your head or don't have any hairs on your head, good way to block the sun there too.
And you get it from Dollar General, by the way, a Dollar General Hornets division. So you must get that. You must get that sunscreen from Dollar General, and all those other Gatorades and waters and things that you mentioned.
Kyle Haney, man of the brands and of the people, but also the brands and the partners.
And maybe the puzzles as well. We'll get in touch with James again. Yeah, this is what we wanted. We wanted some goof-off time, but also serious subject matter in there, fans. Take care of yourself tomorrow. I know we've hit on it, but the weather could be a lot worse. If we had what we had on Tuesday and Wednesday, where it was upper 90s, heat index was like 110, 112, that's a really rough day at the office for everybody. But you see our current weather conditions, I mean, 88, really not bad for early summer. This is our version of the Midsummer Classic here, the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200. What else, boys? I mean, we've still got time to
speaking
banter.
of 88,
I was going to say, Doug Barnes Jr. continues to rise, continues to go up the charts.
That was a big slide out of
Riley
4.
Music really pushing out here out of turn number 4, trying to get every ounce of the lap time that you can get in Riley Music, going for a little bit of a slider out of 4. But you mentioned it. Oh, go ahead, James.
Wait. Riley Music with the big slide. Does that count as shin music, maybe?
I thought you were going to say the electric slide.
That's what I was thinking too. But Doug Barnes Jr., you know, we mentioned him earlier. We didn't get to go in depth about him right now, but let's do it here. Sitting third right now, a 15.28 that he just recently put up on the board behind Sellers and Bassett Jr. You know, we mentioned he's been around the board, but you know, he almost didn't race at all last year.
Yeah, no, I mean, he was pretty much in a situation last year where it was coming up to the start of the season. He didn't have a lot of plans. Again, had made a push to win the national championship a couple of years ago, running at Dominion, running at a couple of different places, including this one. And unfortunately for him, things just didn't line up, and he essentially kind of sat out in 2024. Got the opportunity to drive for Lee Pulliam Performance, and again has gone through some good runs that he's had in the Cars Tour this year. But again, I think a fresh approach for this Triple Crown. And again, Lee Pulliam, he's still as competitive as ever. He won 6 Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200s as a driver. He won his 7th as an owner with Corey Heim a couple of years ago. And know that, I mean, he was saying it on social media earlier this week, I want to go for number 8 with Doug. And they look to have a car that, at least right now, is in contention for that.
We would not be doing our due diligence, which is it's not kind of a tongue twister, if we didn't mention Lee Pulliam and his success both in this event and at South Boston Speedway in general and short track racing in general. And I love what you said there, Blake. He is as competitive as ever. He's not behind the wheel, not much anymore. He'll jump in there occasionally. But Lee Pulliam is very competitive, and anybody that knows the history of his career probably has seen that competitiveness and that passion on display. He brings that, and he's going to bring that to Doug Barnes. I think that's a great mix, though, because to me, Doug is a little bit more on the laid-back side. I think those two kind of complement each other in that way, really.
I'd have to agree. And you know, we got to talk to Doug this morning and just about his whole ride and the ups and downs of what is a racing career. And he really got to just talk, he got to really relish in it and just talk about all the beautiful things that he's been a part of and thankful for the things that he's been a part of. But I think this is a great opportunity that he's had. He's been running well this year in the Cars Tour with Lee Pulliam Performance. And I think this is a great race to be able to go out and prove some of those things that might have gotten missed throughout the season. This is his first run in the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200, and I think they're expecting a lot. I think he's expecting a lot.
Yeah, I think so. And again, you mentioned just everything that he's done or what Lee has been able to bring over the course of his career. Again, ton of wins. He's won the pole a couple times with different drivers. Brendan Queen also won the pole of this race a couple of years ago out of that stable. So we know they'll be very competitive come Saturday.
Yeah, we've all enjoyed watching Brendan Queen do some major damage in some other divisions, and talk about a guy who's really done a lot of great things in this Virginia Triple Crown. When you mention the name Brendan Queen, we've moved on, or we've moved back to, not moved on, but we've moved back to some Dollar General Hornets practice and some also Southside Disposal Pure Stocks practice. I was just going to say, I was going to ask you the question, Blake, when you scan our late model times, who do you think big movers will be tomorrow? But we could put that on hold until it's back on the screen again, because, again, no shortage of talking points tonight. And we want you to join the conversation, fans. I know we had some folks commenting on the different social media destinations there, and, do that. Let us know what you think. I always say we broadcasters, we have feelings too, so don't roast us too bad or anything. But, I love hearing from the fans, and you get some great insight. And I know we got folks that watch worldwide. Blake, we had a gentleman come all the way from Arizona earlier this year. It was part of a road trip where he was hitting some different stops, but South Boston Speedway was on the list. And that's the kind of the legend and the aura this place has. It is no shortage of great racing throughout the years. I think tomorrow is just going to build on that legacy even more.
Well, and again, you hear it from these drivers about what a special night tomorrow is. 40 cars, and I would say there's a group of 20, 25 or so that you could make a legitimate case that they have a car that could go out and win them a Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200 tomorrow. And again, for those fans that are just joining us, again, the stakes have never been higher for the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200. A huge bump up in the purse for the Triple Crown, and the fact that if you win this race tomorrow, you are locked in to the Valley Star Credit Union 300. That is a huge, huge prize that is up for grabs as we'll head down trackside one more time with James Pike.
That is a big prize that a lot of people will be gunning for, and it's something that a lot of folks are going to cover. There are a lot of media that are covering tomorrow's Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200, but there are a few media members, I think, that are more well-known, especially in this corner of racing, than NASCAR Regional's Brandon White, who is the chief writer for pretty much all of the great long-form articles that you see on NASCAR Regional's website. So, Brandon, for those who are unfamiliar with your work, what do you do? What's your focus at NASCAR Regional, and what sort of content do you produce?
So basically what I do is that I'm a writer for NASCAR Regional. I work with the short track side of things. I cover ARCA Menard Series, NASCAR Wheel Modified Tour. This right here, late model stocks, all that good stuff. Basically, that's what I do. I cover the short track side of what NASCAR does.
You've had some great pieces throughout the years. You had that wonderful piece about Lee Pulliam and Philip Morris last year in advance of this race. Are there any sort of recent works that you're proud of, things that you'd love for fans to go see on the NASCAR Regional website and go read up?
Well, I didn't quite have a piece like the Philip Morris Lee Pulliam story, but I did do a little story about the origin of the Triple Crown this year, particularly with like how C. Falk won the very first race. Basically when it was introduced, C didn't really know what to think of it. I mean, it was something new, it was something exciting. From his point of view, it was an opportunity to win races, and that's what he did. He went in to try and win as many of these races as he could. South Boston, dominated. Langley, well, he thought he dominated that, but he didn't. He finished second. And then he goes into Martinsville, and basically it's a rough day for him, but he perseveres, and when Matt Bowling has issues near the end of the race, he ends up finishing sixth. Bowling finishes seventh. He wins the very first Triple Crown. And see, he had no idea what he was starting with that victory. He basically kick-started the tradition that we now know as the Virginia Triple Crown, and it's a pretty big deal today.
So there's tons of great coverage that you can get if you are watching their websites, that you're reading your pieces. Brandon, if folks want to find more of your work, find out more about you, where can they reach you?
Well, there's two places you can find me. You can always go to the NASCAR Regional website. I have plenty of editorial content on there, but also you can check out ARCA Menard Series website, because I do a lot of editorials, a lot of previews, a lot of post-race recaps up there, a couple different places, so be sure to check those websites out. We've got a whole bunch of great content up there.
And if we're looking for you on social media?
You can follow me at Brandon White 95 on Twitter. I don't call it X, it's Twitter. And you can also just find me on my Facebook. It's just Brandon White. I'm sure you'll find me somewhere on there.
You've read his stories, I promise you. If you're a dedicated part of the late model stock car community, you've certainly laid eyes on his work. But this is the genius behind all that great writing. Brandon White, staple of the late model community, fabulous writer for NASCAR Regional.
Thank you, Brandon. Thank you, James. Appreciate all the hard work, not just today, but year-round, guys. Yes, C.E. Falk, 2012. First Virginia Triple Crown winner. Peyton Sellers won the next two. Then it was Lee Pulliam in 2015. We didn't have the Triple Crown in 2016. Timothy Peters got one in 17. Peyton Sellers got his third in 2018. Lee Pulliam got a second one in 19. Didn't race in 2020. Then it was Bobby McCarty picking up the Triple Crown in 2021. Peyton Sellers got another one in 22. Trevor Ward in 2023, and Peyton Sellers last year. Those are your Triple Crown winners. And, you know, the theme there, I guess, Blake, is Peyton Sellers with 5, but Lee Pulliam's got a couple Triple Crowns. And then you've got guys like Trevor Ward and Bobby McCarty, who will be gunning hard to try and win their second Triple Crown this season.
And again, that's all off the back of winning a race like this. Again, Lee has won the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200 6 times. Bobby McCarty's been able to accomplish that twice. Also, Deke McCaskill, somebody who is very familiar here with South Boston Speedway, has been able to accomplish that feat, as we see a couple more Centera late model stocks hitting the racetrack right now. You could see Darren Krantz Jr. You saw him wiggle the car a little bit going into 3. He's trying to warm up those tires for what I imagine would be a mock qualifying run for Chad Bryant Racing.
I want to give you more on Darren Krantz Jr. in just a second, but back to the importance of this race and how it fits in with the Virginia Triple Crown. If you don't know, fans, its average finish is what's going to determine the winner of the Triple Crown. But I will tell you this. The winner of the Triple Crown has only finished outside the top 5 in this race one time. So that tells you you don't necessarily have to win it, but if you finish outside the top 5 or the top 10, it is very difficult to then turn around, and you basically have to go nuts and maybe win at Langley and Martinsville if you have not a great start to your Virginia Triple Crown season here at the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200. And I'll tell you, the year that happened was 2017. Timothy Peters won the Triple Crown that year, Blake. He finished 11th in the 200. So it's back to, kind of what we said about qualifying. It can be done, but your odds are very difficult if you can get the Triple Crown season off to a really good start here tomorrow, then you have a chance to start thinking about it.
Well, speaking of a really good start, you saw a couple of laps there out of Darren Krantz Jr. Immediately goes up to third on the scoring pylon. Was talking to his spotter, Zach Fowler, a little bit earlier today. And again, Darren Krantz, a very young man who ran limited late models a lot last year, kind of making his first venture into late model stock cars, but talked about the learning curve that he has had in late model stock cars as he's been running full-time this year at a couple of different racetracks, including right here at South Boston Speedway. And I think you're starting to see right there, we know Chad Bryant Racing brings really fast race cars for him, but you could see that learning curve starting to work in his favor.
Here's an announcement for everybody at the track. We do have lightning within 15 miles. Weather is moving into the area with a potential for lightning strikes. Lightning is currently 15 miles away from the facility, and we need you to evacuate the grandstands and seek shelter where you feel appropriate. That goes for all of our drivers and race teams. Please cease all work in the infield and seek shelter where you feel appropriate. Your safety is your responsibility. We will continue to monitor the weather and give updates as needed. Lightning is in the area. Fans need to evacuate the grandstands. Race teams, you need to cease all work in the pits and in the infield and seek shelter where you feel appropriate. We will update you here in just a moment. We'll step aside from our social media broadcast here as well, but we will be back. We'll have some more fun things to talk about, and we'll get to see more practice here in just a little bit. We need to let the weather move through, and we'll be talking to you again, race fans. Getting ready for the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200. It's all happening tomorrow at South Boston Speedway.
There's a spirit in Halifax County. Some say they can feel it, and others say they've seen it. If you're looking for a tale, there's one to be told in Halifax. Woven throughout the landscape, you'll discover people and places that shine as bright as stars. A place where you can be adventurous, spirited, laid back, or revved up. You can cruise down Main Street. We've got two of them. And get a taste of the local charm. Or just get lost in the moment. In Halifax, our history runs deeper than the soil it was built on. It's where you can find fireworks in the night sky and spirits that never run dry. Halifax County is ripe with culture, craftsmanship, and unique flavors. You can make the rounds in a day or take your time and make a weekend of it. So take a drive and come see why the stars shine brighter in Halifax County.
The Virginia Triple Crown champion for the 5th time.
Wasn't nothing going to get between him. Peyton Sellers has won it.
So you want me to tell you what it takes to win a Virginia Triple Crown?
Ladies and gentlemen, Peyton Sellers!
Okay, here are the keys to the crown. Consistency. You've got 3 shots, all 3 shots count, 3 different tracks. It's going to come down to who's got a single point difference at the end of the day to win the Triple Crown. Adaptability. You've got 3 tracks with 3 total different designs, and one driver's going to figure it out the best. You've got South Boston, which is high grip. It's got a little bit of banking. It's a wider track. Then you go to Langley, which is no grip at all, and it's a circle, so you're trying to manage tires all night long. Then you go to Martinsville, which is all brakes and all speed going down the straightaways. You have to be able to adapt to all 3 different surfaces and make the most of each outing that you've got, because you've only got 3 shots. Speed. It's up to the driver to have the speed when it counts. It's all about being fast at the end of the race at Langley. It's all about being fast early on at Martinsville to get track position. In South Boston, you just got to have speed the whole race. Respect. You've got to race against these guys door to door for 600 laps, so you don't want to make any enemies. The line between being a hero or a villain is about that wide.
Forrest off of 4. Is it Climb? Is it Forrest? Corey Heim!
You got a lot of people out there that don't know how to use both pedals.
Power move on the bottom side.
Nick Smith gets in the 17, pushes him up the racetrack. Dives underneath, takes over the 3rd spot.
For the final half mile.
It is Landon Huffman by a nose.
Now that I've given you the keys to the crown, all you got to do is beat me.
Celebrate celebration of speed and freedom, an Independence Day spectacle as the greatest grassroots racers put it all on the line as we celebrate the red, white, and blue. It's the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200 at South Boston Speedway, once again kicking off the prestigious Virginia Late Model Triple Crown. And you're invited Saturday night, June 28th. Fireworks? Oh, there will be fireworks on and off the track. Get here early, grab a world-famous bologna burger, and strap in. Tickets are $20 in advance or $25 at the gate. Kids 12 and under are always free. Seniors, active duty military, and veterans, students and first responders, tickets are $20 no matter when you buy. Meet your local heroes at our on-track autograph session, then get ready for racing at 7 p.m. And of course, stay for the fireworks show. Get your tickets and race day information at southbostonspeedway.com.
Welcome back to our internet audience, Facebook, X, and YouTube. And I'm Kyle Haney, Blake McCandless beside. We're getting through a weather delay right now, Blake. We had some lightning in the area, but we wanted to come back and just make sure we were still talking to the fans and getting everybody ready for the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200. It's tomorrow, and it is race 1 in the Virginia Triple Crown presented by Flow Racing. Blake, have some fun thoughts to talk about here, but the schedule tomorrow, fans, if you need to know, and this information is online at southbostonspeedway.com. But we will open the front stretch gates there, the main gates at South Boston Speedway, at 10 a.m. So you can get here as early as 10 a.m. Now, practice won't begin until 1 p.m. Then we have Go Halifax Late Model Stock Car Group qualifying at 4:15. That will be must-see. Our driver autograph session, the Fan Fest, at 5:15. Pre-race ceremonies will officially crank up at 6:30. Our first green flag at 7. That's Budweiser Limited Sportsman. Then the Southside Disposal Pure Stocks, Dollar General Hornets. Then we'll reintroduce our field for the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200, and we'll get that cranked up. Fireworks after the show, Blake. I know I said I was going to let you think of what you wanted to talk about, but man, I think we've undersold the Fan Fest a little bit. That is always a big time treat, man. I love that. I become a fan during that moment as well.
Exactly, and it's something that we get to see a lot with late model stock car racing. But such an incredible time. Again, if you're watching on our social media platforms right now and you're planning on coming tomorrow, cannot recommend enough. And again, we have so many fans out there that this is probably one of their favorite events or things that they get to do at the racetrack is to be able to go down, meet these drivers, meet these crew members, all the folks that make this happen, and get that up close and personal experience, whether it's an autograph, whether it's a hero card, a picture, a conversation with somebody that they look up to as their local hero or somebody that they've watched competing across the entire region. It's something I can't recommend enough, and it's such a wonderful sight to see cars lined up on the front stretch, people standing around, and everybody just having a grand old time. And it takes a little bit of the pressure off, at least for, about 45 minutes or an hour or so before things get a little bit serious. But it's an incredible opportunity for race fans to get to know these race car drivers because, again, there are people driving these race cars, and we love to root for good people. And so many folks down there in the pit area, whether they're working on these cars or driving them, are great people.
James, you're a great person, and you've got another great one beside you.
I love that we don't normally get to. And we get the chance to chat with folks who make a difference in the industry that we don't normally get to speak to on regular show and regular broadcasts. And one of those folks is the man behind I Create Photography on socials, Matt Marius. So, Matt, you're best with your work both at King Laws Langley Speedway, where we're going to be in a few weeks for the Hampton Heat and the Triple Crown, and Nelson. But who else do you shoot for, and where else can we see your work?
Normally, I just try to pick up who I can. Our store, so whoever's left over, I usually pick up. So, and then also, other places you can find my social media stuff is Facebook, Create Photography, and then, like you said, Instagram is where I post most of my stuff. iCreate.photo.
Torp Chassis, Andrew Grady, and then trying to recap. We're difficulties here trying to make sure that we get all the words in, so just trying to recap all those places. So, there we go. What is life like as a photographer, and what's the experience shooting late models, and how has it been for you?
But I love it. Oh, I can for 3 minutes and be on the other end of the track. I do got some experience shooting NASCAR, but I get to shoot later on this year at Darlington and Martinsville. But I don't think I'll ever step away from the late model stuff. I love it too much. It's very, very family oriented as well, so I like that. guys, and they're like family to me now. So I love it.
Nelson, folks like family here. So we'll let Matt rock.
Thank you, James. That was Matt Maury, who we were hearing from there, and it really not fair to Matt or James. We had some technical issues there, but as you know, race fans, those happen, and we'll work through them. We always keep striving for a better product, so we'll figure it out. We'll run down the technical demons there, and that's something to keep in mind for tomorrow, Blake. I mean, I don't know if that was one of those Murphy's Laws or whatever, but something's always going to go wrong, and then you try to fix it. And I think that's the way those good race teams are, don't you? I'm trying to bring it back to the racing itself tomorrow. I mean, I think those good teams, they're good at the troubleshooting, running down the problem. And when you have a big team, that kind of helps too, because you can get that all hands on deck mentality and get it fixed and get your driver back out pretty quick.
Yeah, and it helps when you have a lot of smart people that are working with you. And again, so many of these drivers and crews and teams, they just have some brilliant minds that have been in this space and been racing their whole lives, and they know exactly how to get the job done. Again, it's why late model stock car racing right now is so competitive. The amount of knowledge that is in this pit area right now of people that have been a part of it, whether they were drivers themselves or now they've been working on crews. Some of them are young. Some of them have been doing this for 20, 30 years. That's why it's so competitive, and that everybody has caught up to not quite the cusp. Again, there's no such thing as perfection when it comes to racing and being able to prepare and all of those things. But we're just so close to that threshold that's why so many of these teams and even these chassis manufacturers, whether it's Hedgecock or Reynolds, PRW, RNS, the list goes on and on and on. How we've all arrived at a very similar spot to where as race fans we just get to enjoy incredibly competitive racing.
And I think in the modern era, the internet equalizes things. It really does, because it used to be you had to have hands-on experience. You had to go work on a crew for somebody to learn this stuff. And even then, it was going to take you years and years. Well, now you can do that. There's no substitute for hands-on stuff, but you can get on the internet and just gobble up information and learn things. BJ Reeves is one in the pure stock division we've been talking about. I mean, he says, I'm probably 10 hours on the internet every week, and it's not all great information, right? But you learn little things that way, and different people, I think, learn different ways too. Some guys are the old school method; they need to turn the wrench and figure it out themselves. Other guys can get it from a book or a website, and that's cool too.
The ability to learn has taken a whole new level and brought a whole new approach to this type of racing. I mean, whether it's hands-on experience. Again, was talking to Riley Music a little bit earlier today, and he mentioned, and I'm sure he's not the only driver that does this, but he had never raced here at South Boston Speedway before. There are a couple drivers that are in a similar position, but they have so many resources available to them now. They can pull up Flow, as a couple of them will do, and watch weekly racing here, watch touring series that have raced here in the past to see how those races play out. You can look at the weather and see, okay, well, in this weather, maybe this lane came in, or this is something that the announcers were talking about that this driver was struggling with, or they did well. Of course, we know everything is kind of in the world of sim and everything with racing these days. Not that opportunity is available at every track that we go to, but South Boston Speedway is available on iRacing, which is kind of the simulation of choice for the mass public. And so even before you arrive to the racetrack, you're able to at least get a feel for the facility. Again, you don't have to hear a story or hear somebody talk to you about this is what you should expect here. You can get hands-on experience and experience that for yourself in a way that just you couldn't do 20, 25 years ago, things of that nature. So it's just allowed, again, people to continue to learn, to get up to speed so fast. I mean, again, look at who's third on our scoring pylon right now is Darren Krantz Jr. Young man, he's third fastest right now, and somebody that, again, is running late model stock cars for the very first time, and yet he can get in a fast race car and immediately be up to speed in a way that I don't think was possible, 20, 25 years ago.
And you talk to those people that do the iRacing side, and they'll tell you South Boston Online, it's a pretty accurate representation of what you get. Now, yes, it's not the real thing, and this is your world, Blake. You can speak on this, but, it's certainly some reps that, as you said, you couldn't get 20 years ago. You can get them now, and all of a sudden, you just need a little bit of a head start. Sometimes, if you've got the talent, sometimes you just need a little bit of a head start, and it can give you that.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily, again, it's not the exact same feel. You can't replicate the exact feel of sitting in one of these late model stock cars or any of the cars that these drivers will be competing in throughout this weekend. But just to get small things down about, sight lines, or, hey, maybe if I lift around this part in the fence post or past this graphic that's on the wall. Again, things that just, little things that would take a little bit of time if the first time you saw it was live and at the racetrack, but you start a couple steps ahead or have the opportunity to with some of the resources that are available to these drivers.
Anything that you can gain confidence from is going to be a big help to a driver. We talked paint schemes sometimes. If you know your car looks good, all of a sudden you get some good vibes from that. Speaking of great vibrations, we will head back downstairs to the guys that have run down the technical issues. It's James Pike and Scott Shive side by side, looking as good as ever, boys.
I mean, Scott's looking good, I think. That's my take on it. But we fought through our gremlins. We tried to figure out what the answer was going to be, and we think we have an answer to our problems. And the answer is for me to get the heck off this mic and get Scott Shive on it. So we're going to let Scott play pit reporter for a little bit. But before we do, we need to take a moment to appreciate the fit here. This man, shorts shorter than the day is long, but the socks. Can you show him the socks? Give him a little bit of love for the socks here. That's impressive. A little bit of, warm greens and blues. So I'll stop pontificating here because this man comes dressed to kill. But he also is pretty good at what he does, too. So, Scott Shive, this is now your show. Help us all.
Here we go. All right, so let's see. We're going to get to talk to some people here very soon, and I want to talk to some of our local guys because we've gotten to talk to some of our drivers that have been in and around. We talked to BJ Reeves just a moment ago here under our lightning delay, and he was talking to me about he's so excited about Johnny Lane being back and then being able to battle because he's been looking for that battle with Johnny Lane because they did so well last year. They battled all season long, and you said it earlier, Kyle, that Johnny Lane had 5 wins in those 7 starts, and BJ Reeves was getting to talk to Johnny about him coming back, and he was so ready for him to be back because them two, and they are Goliaths here in the Southside Disposal Pure Stocks division, and they're going to go at it. So we're going to get some drivers here in just a moment. We're going to talk to some of our local guys.
All right, thank you very much, Scott. Also heard the sound of at least one car cranking up out there. Again, hoping that this advisory passes momentarily. Would say that a number of teams, again, you can see the front stretch pit area, a number of teams have started to push those cars back to the hauler, and it seems that they're comfortable, at least for now, to try and get prepared for tomorrow. Again, Kyle, would say that a number of teams, again, you can see the front stretch pit area.
You don't learn a whole lot in the heat of the day, so we were just kind of trying to be methodical, not burn it down. So we practiced a little bit, but not a whole lot. Just to tweak on it, try to get it ready for the nighttime.
The sun's going to keep going down here, and we got to practice. We get until 7:45 here this evening, so about another hour once this lightning delay is lifted. Do you think y'all will go back out and see what the track feels like as the sun continues to go down, or do you think it's day done?
We might. We're in the line for tech now, so if we get through that all right, we may go out. We got a little bit of a brake problem, so try to get it fixed before tomorrow. So we'll see. If we get that fixed, we may go out. We may not. I don't know yet.
What's your confidence here? I know in last year's race you got caught up in a big incident, and that took you out early in the race. How do you kind of think about that this year? Do you think about the race, or do you really have to think about these practice sessions and qualifying before you can even think about the race itself?
You always got to survive in these races, so just to kind of try to be up front and be out of it is the key. And I'm not saying that being up front is out of it. It could happen anywhere, but usually when it happens here, it's pretty big. So try to get through that, and if you get through that, man, you got a pretty good shot at being a top 10 car. So you got to be good, but survival is key here. So that's one thing we try to focus on is being good enough, but also trying to survive.
We're having some fun here on the Friday broadcast, and it's a South Boston favorite. It's a South Boston staple, the bologna burger. I got to know, have you had it before?
Nah, I've never had it here.
You have got to try it. Tomorrow, concessions will be open. Chase, I need you to try it.
Yeah, we'll see. I try not to eat a whole lot at the racetrack, but I don't come here a lot, just for these big races, so not a whole lot of time to get them, but I might try one tomorrow.
So I heard two things from that. A, Chase Burrow needs to come to South Boston Speedway more and race, and A, he needs to have a bologna burger. We'll see if we can get that to happen tomorrow, but we know he's got to stay in race-fit condition. And so Chase Burrow is going to go after it all for the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200, going for the keys to the crown.
Fantastic stuff right there, Scott Shive. His first victim, guest. Chase Burrow, I love Chase Burrow, and we do have to get that guy a bologna burger. Blake, he mentioned, a lot of times when the wrecks happen, there can be a big one, and we've had some big ones. I see Scott Shive has got another victim down there, so I'll hold the stats on some of the big ones that we've had here in Thunder Road Harley-Davidson history. And we'll see if Scott is ready one more time with Trevor Ward, who has had a fantastic campaign so far in 2025. Scott, take it away.
Yeah, you said a fantastic campaign. I feel like there's got to be a better word for that for Trevor Ward, leading the national standings, leading the standings here at South Boston Speedway. But that still comes into account, but that's almost somewhat of a sidebar. Let me ask you, how much do you think about this championship here at South Boston and the Triple Crown at the same time?
You really want both of them, but obviously the main goal is to come out of here with a good finish. It's got a lot of good cars. It's real hot today. This track's real greasy. Trying to get every bit of notes we can to capitalize tomorrow night. But all in all, if we can come out of here with a good top 5 and a points night, it's a win for us, and like I said, I got to thank all these guys that's helped me get here this week.
You've won in the Valley Star Credit Union 300 before, back in 2023. What confidence does that give you? You could win here in the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200, and you're automatically in at Martinsville. How much more does that make you hungry to go out and try to score that win tomorrow night?
It's one more thing I want to check off my bucket list. So, we've got a second and a third, it seems like, here, and we've come up 1 spot and 2 spots short. Obviously it's a lot more to, go further back than it is to gain. But, like I said, it'd be cool to go into, to get another one of these crown jewels under our belt and, put that in my resume for sure. That's been a big thing on my bucket list, and it just takes a lot out of you to do it this year, because I think that, I think it's a points fund for, a little bit more than it has been in the past. It's going to be a battle for, 3 different racetracks. So we're going to put all of our eggs in one basket and try to capitalize on them.
Well, talking about those eggs in one basket here at South Boston Speedway, you've been battling all season long with Peyton Sellers. How much does that battle come into your mind as you're running tomorrow night, or do you just really have to put everything forward and only think about going after the crown?
I think that, Peyton, he's going to be good. He knows this racetrack really well, and, we're still learning a lot about this place. We've had a lot of success, it seems like, this year, a lot of luck, maybe, but like I said, it's going to be, a tough battle between the both of us all year, really, and I'm looking forward to it for sure.
2 of those Goliaths in the Centera Health Late Model Division will battle it out tomorrow night in the 19th running of the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200, and this is one of those guys, one of the mans to watch.
Certainly so there for Trevor Ward. Again, great work there from our buddy Scott Shive. And I think kind of echoing what we've heard a lot throughout the day from a lot of these drivers, and I guess more so into the evening time, this is true as well, about what these drivers could learn. Despite the fact that they had all this time in practice earlier today, the conditions are so different, and this track in particular is so sensitive to weather and cooling down and heating up and all of those things that it's been a challenge for them to try and get wraps in. And I think, again, that's why you see a lot of cars loaded up right now, is they feel like they've done all they can do to learn before tomorrow already.
It's always going to be an educated guess, right? You're never going to exactly know how the track changes. It just seems that guys like Peyton Sellers and Trevor Ward, they're a bit more educated than the average
Trevor
driver
Ward,
and average
brilliant.
team. Absolutely. I mean, he really is one of the more brilliant guys in racing, and it's so much fun hearing these insights, because it's one thing to hear the broadcasters say it. It's fun to give our opinion, but when you hear it from the drivers, man, I just think it's such a great way to enjoy the sport. And I'll say this real quick before we send it back downstairs to Scott Shive. Trevor Ward has made 4 starts in the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200. The podium rate is 50%. You heard him say we got a second and a third. Now, he wants to do one better than that tomorrow. One of the drivers he'll have to beat is a pretty tough customer himself. Carson Lofton is down with Scott Shive.
I've got Carson Lofton here, and Carson, you're running with Nelson Motorsports this season. I want to first, ask you what made you transition to the late model. You obviously ran the Smart Mod Tour last year. You were really successful, 5 wins in the 2024 season. But what made you make the transition over here to Nelson Motorsports and running the late model stock?
Well, the opportunity kind of presented itself a little bit last year in July. Actually at Caraway, our next race with the Cars Tour. And I met Barry, and things went from there. And obviously, the Cars Tour is where it's at right now to get noticed in racing. So, I've always wanted to be a late model stock driver, and the opportunity kind of presented itself, and here we are. So, really enjoying it. It's a lot of fun. Been learning a lot. So, that's the main thing.
I know you've probably been asked this or maybe be thinking about this. This car won the race last year. Does that provide any sort of pressure on you as a driver?
For sure, but I just think pressure is a privilege at the end of the day. These guys are a great bunch of guys. We've had fast cars week in, week out. I've made a lot of mistakes this year that I definitely need to clean up on my end moving forward. But, I've learned a lot and hopefully be flawless throughout the rest of the year.
It's always good to have confidence as a driver. Let's talk about today. What did you feel out on the track? I know a lot of drivers are saying that during the race tomorrow night that the track is probably going to tighten up as the sun goes down. I know it's been slick today, but I want to hear how your experience felt today.
I sure hope it tightens up tomorrow night. We've been loose all day, but I think we'll be all right. The way this place trends with the modified hopefully carries over to the late models too, and I think we'll be all right tomorrow night.
It's so great to watch young guys like you come out here and really succeed. We've got a lot of young drivers running in the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200 for the first time. I just want to hear how you're feeling about running 200 laps here at South Boston Speedway.
I'm looking forward to it. 200 big ones tomorrow night. Just got to keep our nose clean and be there at the end. That's the main thing because this race is just pure attrition. So just main thing is being there at the end.
Carson Lofton looking for a clean night tomorrow night in his first running of the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200.
Love that young guy. 17 years old, but wise beyond his years, I think, Blake. Says all the right things because it's genuine. Sometimes you can tell with these young guys, they've been coached, say this, say that. It's genuine. I mean, it's right off the top with him, and I just think that's fantastic. He's got a great mentality, great temperament for this sport.
Absolutely, and was talking with him earlier today, and again, he's quite honest about, what he has been able to learn throughout this venture into late model stock car racing. Again, he's only about half a year into it, if you can imagine that, and was quite frank about, being able to feel like, that he's made progress, but also, this sport is difficult. This sport is hard. This type of racing is so difficult. So, sometimes you take a couple steps forward, sometimes you take a couple of steps back. But great to see the learning process. And again, I know if he gets comfortable with this, we know what he can do. I mean, he's the king of the modifieds here at South Boston Speedway for a reason. And who knows? They've shown up at a couple different racetracks in the Cars Tour. A lot of these high grip racetracks with a lot of speed. You think about North Wilkesboro Speedway. They qualified up front and ran up front that entire race. So again, we'll see if that notebook and that confidence can translate here to South Boston Speedway.
It's a Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200 debut tomorrow for Carson Lofton. The plan with Nelson Motorsports is to run all 3 Triple Crown races, and we're seeing that a lot from the drivers entered, where they have said, yes, the Triple Crown is going to be in our plans. And it's not even that deal that you hear sometimes, Blake, where drivers will say, well, if we do good in the first race, we'll stay with it. No, I think for a lot of these teams, the plan is to run this Virginia Triple Crown. And again, part of the reason is little extra juice, more chips in the pot thanks to Flow Racing. They have added to the fun this year with those bonuses. We're talking about $20,000 for winning that Virginia Triple Crown, $10,000 $10,000 for second, which is not shabby. The winner tomorrow is going to get $10K. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's $50,000 extra in the purse from Flow Racing. And we're going to be thrilled to bring it to you on Flow Racing tomorrow. We're not done here today. I've been wanting to hit on my stat about the attritional nature of this race because Carson Lofton, wise beyond his years, he knows how attritional this race can be. Here's the stat. Crunch the numbers. An average of 41% of the cars finish on the lead lap in this race. So less than half the entries. The one year that everybody talks about, 2022, we started 42 cars that year,
here.
Blake. Yeah.
I was the replay operator
That's right.
that night.
That's right. We started 42, and you showed a replay of the big one a lot. We started 42, and 7 finished on the lead lap, and basically that year 7 finished. When you say lead lap, those were basically the cars that finished. I think there might have been 8 P8 and P9 came across the line there, or we're going to. But that kind of thing can happen. Now, you get some other years where a lot of cars finish on the lead lap, but typically it's less than half, and you are going to have, a decent chunk of cars that do not finish at all. That's just the nature of this race.
Well, and sometimes it's just little things like, not quite getting a shift right on a restart. And you get a great look at it right here on our front stretch camera. You can see exactly why sometimes these races end up being that way. It's so difficult to try and avoid something when there's both that inside and outside retaining wall that, as Scott was saying earlier, barely 40 feet apart. Pretty much the only room that you have to miss accidents here are in turn 2 or just past us here in turn 4, where you have a little bit of leeway on the apron there to try to go and perhaps duck low to miss some wrecks. But it's so difficult here to try and do that, and sometimes why it contributes to a race that can be a little bit attrition filled at times. And I think that's the point that Brandon Pierce made earlier. Exactly, you have to make it to lap 100 to make it to lap 200, and so on and so forth. So just the mental challenge and being patient is a big part of winning this race. It's not just speed. We'll see a lot of these guys that have a lot of speed and may not make it through the race, whether they're through their fault or not. But it's definitely a race where you have to be on your game for all 200 laps to have a chance to win.
Scott's next guest is usually on his game. He's got skill, patience, and always a lot of speed. Peyton Sellers is ready with Scott Shive.
I've got Peyton Sellers here. And Peyton, look, this has been a great year for you. You had 2 wrecks, but besides that, you have been always competing. 5 wins this season. You've already matched your best of 2024. What do you keep doing to continue that this season in general?
You just got to stay after it. We've had some wrecks. We've had a little bit of bad luck here and there. But overall, man, we've had an amazing season. To be able to win 5 right now, we went to Langley last week and had a good solid run over there. And here for the 200, I feel like we're in good shape right now. The car is driving good. A lot of new cars here, a lot of different characteristics in this track today that we've seen that we haven't seen this year. So we just got to keep our nose down, keep focused, and just make the most of it. We're having fun. We're not racing every week like we have in the years past. So we've been putting a little more focus just on South Boston, and it seems to be paying off for the moment.
Fun is always one of the most important things, and here's the thing: you are one of the best, the most known when it comes to the Virginia Triple Crown, 5-time champion, defending champion. You talked about it in that little promo about the keys to the crown, but I want to hear a little bit more about it. They've got to come out and beat you.
Well, I tell you, that's not my personality, but NASCAR did an amazing job with that little video clip, and we had a lot of fun doing it. So it's good advertisement. There's a lot of good talent right here this weekend at this track, and this is just the beginning of it for the Triple Crown. So, you have to just stay driven. You have to stay focused all the time. And, I'm probably the oldest guy out here for the most part, me and Deke. And, when you got Landon and all these guys out here, it makes it harder for sure. And, it's not going to be an easy race tomorrow night. It's going to be grueling as far as temperature and the endurance of it, but also the competition level is going to be top notch. So I'm really looking forward to it. I just got to stay focused. That's the main thing. You got to remember on lap 1 that you got to be there on lap 200.
As a veteran, do you think that you have an advantage over some of these younger guys that maybe haven't run here as much? Or when we talked about the difference of the tire from this year, about it overheating, and you've run here at night the past couple of races this season, do you think that you have some sort of advantage over those guys with just your veteran driver prowess?
Yeah, I wish I could tell you yes, but honestly, there's a lot of these young guys out here with great equipment and, kind of honed in right now. And these tires, they're just taking all we can give them every lap. So pretty much you run it wide open every lap, and there's not a lot of saving anymore. You know, there's not a lot of, you know, saving that 10 good laps for the end of the race when you can try to work by somebody. You just give it all you got and keep track position all night. That's the way it goes.
Peyton Sellers looking for another Thunder Road Harley-Davidson to add to his mark, his impressive career mark here throughout all of these years that he's raced.
Peyton always looking good, sounding good, and, man, he always drives it good, Blake. It is a joy to watch him. And you know what? There are some people that root against Peyton Sellers. He's got a very healthy attitude about that. He says, hey, if you want to boo, that's fine. Just come on out to the racetrack. Just get in the seat, and I'm okay with some boos along with the cheers. I love the attitude.
Hey, man, as long as they're making noise, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, that means they're talking about you. That means they're watching you. And but again, just somebody that you can tell is very excited, and it's somebody who has done it enough times that he knows exactly what he needs. And again, it's echoing a lot of what we heard from a lot of these older drivers. Again, he kind of mentioned Deke McCaskill, somebody who has been around here a lot, been around this game for a very long time. And I think those two drivers, again, they have a leg up knowing what it takes to try and win these long type of races. Despite the fact that they've done it here at this racetrack before, I think mentally that veteran experience is a big, big plus for those guys.
Yeah, and I think with those veterans and those great teams, to me, one of the separators, Blake, is they know when to go to plan B. I think everybody's got a great plan A, right? I mean, maybe not everybody. We'll say most drivers and teams have a great plan A, but they know when it's time to go to plan B or C or on through the list. I mean, I think that's a standout for them.
Well, and again, I think that's what we were talking about earlier, is that lap 100 marker, cars will not be moving. They'll be sitting on pit road, but the best drivers will know how to make their car better, how to work with their team, and how to take a really good race car and make it a race car that could win the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200. That's when that experience is going to pay off big time.
Exactly right. And don't forget the Triple Crown aspect. A guy like Peyton Sellers might know when he doesn't have a race-winning car, but can I get this in the top 5? Can I get it in the top 10 somehow and get a leg up on the competition? One of the opponents that Peyton Sellers mentioned is downstairs right now with Scott Shive.
I've got Landon Pimbleton here, and Landon, obviously one of the big things about the day, you're running a different car than you normally do in the weekly shows here at South Boston. You had that car at Dominion, the Cars to a Race, and you said you felt so good about it. One of the best cars you've ever driven. I want to hear why that you felt that you wanted to bring that car here. Dominion and South Boston have some similarities, but they're still different tracks at the end of the day.
For sure. We've been working really hard at both cars. I mean, yesterday we unloaded and they were tit for tat. Longevity seemed like my white car, the one I'm running now, looks like it's going to be a little bit better longer throughout the night. And all day it's been really, really solid for us. We haven't made many laps, just kind of taking our time with it, not over adjusting and putting ourselves into a hole. But learned a lot of stuff at Dominion with it, and I think we can relay it over to here and be really good.
I can't say that you're quiet out on track, but you've been really waiting in the wings in terms of the championship fight here at South Boston Speedway. Obviously, you won the 2024 Dominion Late Model Championship, but you're looking for a championship here at South Boston Speedway. With everything that's gone on, with Ward having a finish out 3 weeks ago, and then the crash from Sellers, you're only 3 points out of the lead. And I've talked to the other guys leading the championship as well of how much do you think about that in a race like the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200? How do you weigh the benefits of those things and make a decision when you're in the car?
You just honestly, for the track championship, you just got to be consistent. You got to have good finishes every race, and that's kind of what we've had. We haven't really had any bad finishes. I think we've been inside the top 10 every race. So except for I think one race we finished 7th, and then another one we finished 6th. But most of them have been inside the top 5. So going into this race, I mean, you just want to keep your car clean. I'm sure Trevor and Peyton have said the same. This race can either lose you the championship or it can win you it. So especially going into the Triple Crown, these guys are going to be kind of antsy. So a lot of money on the line with the Triple Crown, a lot of money on the line for the big race here, and a lot of money on the line for a track championship. So definitely going to be pretty aggressive, but we got to maintain and just make sure we keep our nose clean.
One of the biggest things you've talked to me about is qualifying, and y'all been working to improve it, and you have improved it, but I imagine not as much as you'd like. There's a 39-car field starting tomorrow in the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200. Have you continued to work on that qualifying speed, and how much is of an importance of it here with such a bigger car count in this vital race?
Honestly, qualifying It can make you or break you in this race for sure. I'm pretty confident we've gotten the speed. It's just all about executing it. At Dominion, we had a ton of speed in the qualifying. Just I didn't execute it properly, and we had the car. I felt like to win all week at Dominion, and kind of relaying it over here. I feel like we're really good today, and I feel like we're one of the better cars, and just kind of maintain and make sure we're going to keep it in the right place at the right time, and try and go win the thing tomorrow.
He's got the speed, he's got the mindset, and he's got the car, but can he put it all together to round it out here and get his first ever Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200? I'll bring back James, and well, before we give our closing thoughts, Paul wants me to interview you a little bit. And you know, this is your thing. This is not my thing. I'm thankful to be able to get put right here and be able to get to test the waters. But I just want to hear from you about how this day is for you, because you've been hot out there all day in this temperature.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, honestly, you sort of get used to it, and having done this, you know, thankfully, and sort of to your point, as grateful as I've been to do a lot of races like this, you just load up on water and you load up on fluids and you do it early, and then you just sort of maintain a level, right? So I knew coming into today that it was going to be tough, so just made sure we got some electrolytes in me and made sure that we were in a pretty good spot. And I'll be looking forward to the bottle of water I'm having here in just a few moments. But when you've done this for as much as I have, it becomes easier to manage it over a 7 or 8 hour period. And all we can hope is that the fans, the drivers, and everybody else, crew, officials, everybody else that's going to be outside tomorrow can just do the exact same.
James does one of the toughest jobs, but nobody has more fun doing it than James Pike, and no one is better at it than James Pike, and he's so good at what he does. But I want to hear your thoughts on today, of what we saw from practice, of what we saw from all of these cars out here. Who are some drivers you might be looking at for this Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200, or who really impressed you today?
I think the immediate standout to me is Schaefer with the speed that he had in that Hettinger car. Hasn't necessarily done a lot of late model racing, but has shown talent. He's won in the Cars Tour before, has proven that he can get it done. And I think it's a testament not only to how quick he is, but we also have to give a call to Caden Honeycutt as well, because he's run in that car a few times already this year. And I think definitely has helped to elevate that program a little bit. I know, speaking both with Caden and with Chris Hettinger, they talked about just sort of the symbiotic relationship that can build. And so I like what they've been able to put together. And Al Schaefer, who's equally as talented in his own right, has come in and he's shown a lot of speed. The other big point I think that stands out to me is that a lot of these drivers who feel really, really good were really comfy with packing it up really early. There was a lot of sort of, I know what I'm looking for, and I don't necessarily know if I'm going to be able to get to it with the conditions being what they are, but I'll take what we've got, and I know where we need to be tomorrow. So there are a lot of drivers, I think, that are in that mindset. Time will tell whether or not they've got the right idea or whether or not they're completely missing the mark. But a lot of confidence, I think, throughout the field, more so than I've seen in past editions of the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200.
Will comfortability hold out in the morning for some of these drivers, or will it be to their detriment? You know, I'm looking at some of those guys like Matt Waltz up there in the top of the standings. And here's the thing, if he has a great day here at Langley, or excuse me, here at South Boston, he'll go to Langley, because that's what I'm thinking about, because, I mean, he is one of the guys you think about when you think of Langley Speedway. And so if he has a good run tomorrow night in the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200, he could be a threat for the Virginia Triple Crown.
He was pole sitter for the Car Show at Langley as well, and I think you have to factor that in. He could be somebody who could show up big and go Halifax qualifying and maybe pick up that Anderson Outdoor Solutions Pole Award tomorrow.
Really, we're going to have Go Halifax qualifying for the Anderson Outdoor Pole Award for this Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200. There's going to be a lot to look for. Don't forget to join us tomorrow. It'll be at 4 o'clock. We'll go live for qualifying, and it's going to be an excellent. We'll send it back to the booth to close us out here from our Facebook broadcast.
Well, thanks, guys. That was a lot of fun. Those two, they're making a pretty formidable tag team down there, Blake. Already, they're getting the hang of this thing. Really, our broadcast team is top tier. Our production team is top tier, and we are so thrilled and fortunate to be able to bring you all the action tomorrow. It's going to be a lot of fun. I have no idea what's going to happen, Blake, but I know it's going to be a lot of fun, and we are going to wrap up our social media broadcast here in a bit, but give us some closing thoughts, and I don't know, maybe, I know there's still a lot of questions unanswered, but did we get maybe close to finding some answers today?
I would say
further away?
I would say that approaching the end of this practice session, I am less confident in whoever I thought the favorites were going to be, because you hear from Landon Pimbleton, you hear from Peyton Sellers, you hear from guys that are going out and making a Mach Q run now and starting to move towards the top of the charts, like a Connor Hall, or even this driver on the screen right now, and Tate Fogelman. There's so many opportunities here that I think these drivers have. And I think Landon Pimbleton put it perfectly. It's all about going out and executing. There are a lot of teams, there are a lot of cars that are fast enough to do it. Can they execute? Can they start up front? Can they miss the attrition? Can they find the balance, not just for the first 50 laps or the first 100, but for all 200? Can they improve those cars at the halfway break? It's what makes late model stock car racing so much fun, is the unknown. And after today, I don't think I'm any the wiser for knowing who may actually end up in victory lane tomorrow for the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200.
I'm going to ask you a question and give you my answer, and feel free to steal it as well. But who are some teams that you could see making a big move up the charts based on practice today that could end up qualifying to better tomorrow? I'm going to go ahead and tell you, I think the RNS guys, Blake Stallings, Cade Brown, I could see them qualifying better than those times are giving us right now. I know everybody's going to improve, but those are two guys I could see making a big jump up the chart tomorrow.
Absolutely, and I think Cade Brown, he's going to go out and make one more mock qualifying run right now, or at least get out on the racetrack for a couple laps, so I'm sure he's going to be able to improve from the time he ran earlier when the track was a lot harder. But those were the cars that I was looking at. Cade Brown, Blake Stallings, I think Trevor Ward, obviously right now sitting in 17th, could do this as well. I think Camden Goley, wouldn't be shocked to see Camden Goley kind of move his way further up the charts as we kind of move along through the day. But again, just so many. And again, there's some drivers that aren't here today. How about Thomas Bean and Landon Huffman? They're not even in these later practice sessions. They ran earlier today, or Landon Huffman did. Thomas Bean's at Tri-County right now. Landon Huffman is going to be racing there probably shortly. It's 7 o'clock right now. He's going to have to start in the back there tonight. But he was awfully quick, or at least showed the same speed that I think Brandon Pierce, whose lap time has stood the test of time, if I can say that, with the cooling track conditions and whatnot. He ran a fast lap pretty early in this session, so he's done a great job there. So, again, so hard to point to one that I think is going to be at the top, but again, that's what makes tomorrow so exciting for us to see.
And on the mark by you, as always. That's why I think you need multiple broadcasters, because honestly, it had been so long ago that Huffman had run the practice laps. I'll admit, I kind of forgot about him a little bit. So great point by you. And, that's why we wanted to expand the broadcast team a bit for this big event here. And you're going to be in on the call for the other two races in the Virginia Triple Crown. So that's fantastic to have that continuity, and you'll bring a lot of perspective from that one. We, again, want to invite you out in person to South Boston Speedway. The gates actually open at 10 a.m. tomorrow, fans. Practice will begin at 1 p.m., and you will have some qualifying for the Budweiser Limited Sportsman, the Southside Disposal Pure Stocks, and also the Dollar General Hornets. Then the Go Halifax late model stock car qualifying will begin at 4:15. On-track driver autograph session and fan fest happens at 5:15. Pre-race ceremonies crank up at 6:30. It's all brought to you by Thunder Road Harley-Davidson, and we can't wait to tell you a little bit more about them. I've been throwing websites at you left and right, fans, but here comes another one, ThunderRoadHD.com. ThunderRoadHD.com. They're on Riverside Drive in Danville, and we can't wait to hear from their folks tomorrow, and we will get to see some of those Harleys out there, Blake. We're obviously fans of cars, but
yeah,
a good Harley-Davidson motorcycle is pretty fun to look at and listen to as well.
No doubt. I mean, there's a lot of drivers, including Mason Bailey, his parents at perfect timing. Man, our production team is on it. They grew up racing motorcycles and whatnot, and that's we'll see what Mason Bailey can do here. Again, he was 13th fastest. And I'm sure, again, he'll improve here on his time. He's been awfully quick all throughout the weekend. But, again, can't wait to get here tomorrow. And for all the fans out there, I think they're tuned in for a real treat. Whether you're planning on coming out to the racetrack tomorrow or tuning in tomorrow night on Flow Racing, you're going to see a great show.
Flow Racing broadcast will begin at 4 p.m., and then we'll jump into that Go Halifax late model stock car qualifying at 4:15. We want you to be there with us, fans. No bigger brag, no better flex than saying you saw it live at the track at South Boston Speedway or on Flow Racing. We will conclude our social media fun for today. Whether you watched a little or watched a lot, we are very appreciative, and we will talk to you again tomorrow. For our general manager, Brandon Brown, and our producer, Paul Burnham, the entire crew, Blake McCandless, Scott Shive, James Pike, Dandy Dan Love, Mitch Gearhart, and everybody else that helped out. Kyle Haney saying, so long, get ready for a monster evening tomorrow night in the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200.
Celebration of speed and freedom, an Independence Day spectacle as the greatest grassroots racers put it all on the line as we celebrate the red, white, and blue. It's the Thunder Road Harley-Davidson 200 at South Boston Speedway, once again kicking off the prestigious Virginia Late Model Triple Crown. And you're invited Saturday night, June 28th. Fireworks? Oh, there will be fireworks on and off the track. Get here early, grab a world-famous bologna burger, and strap in. Tickets are $20 in advance or $25 at the gate. Kids 12 and under are always free. Seniors, active duty military, and veterans, students and first responders, tickets are $20 no matter when you buy. Meet your local heroes at our on-track autograph session, then get ready for racing at 7 p.m. And of course, stay for the fireworks show. Get your tickets and race day information at southbostonspeedway.com.
There's a spirit in Halifax County. Some say they can feel it, and others say they've seen it. If you're looking for a tale, there's one to be told in Halifax. Woven throughout the landscape, you'll discover people and places that shine as bright as stars. A place where you can be adventurous, spirited, laid back, or revved up. You can cruise down Main Street. We've got two of them. And get a taste of the local charm. Or just get lost in the moment. In Halifax, our history runs deeper than the soil it was built on. It's where you can find fireworks in the night sky and spirits that never run dry. Halifax County is ripe with culture, craftsmanship, and unique flavors. You can make the rounds in a day or take your time and make a weekend of it. So take a drive and come see why the stars shine brighter in Halifax County.
It's time to race for a crown.
The Virginia Triple Crown.
What is the Virginia Triple Crown?
3 of the toughest,
roughest,
Hottest, most grueling races that we run all year.
South Boston 200,
the Hampton Heat,
and the biggest one of them all, the Valley Star Credit Union 300.
3 tracks,
1 state, 1 winner.
First we go to South Boston Speedway.
Then we battle the heat at Langley Speedway.
and then we race for a grandfather clock at Martinsville Speedway.
Oh yeah.
Now the winner gets to take home 20 racks.
$20,000.
So what's the Virginia Triple Crown?
It's the toughest prize in late model stock racing.
And it's only on Flow Racing.